Hello. Hello, chat. How's it going? Wait. This is like uneven and it's been driving me fucking crazy, but it's okay. Woo! Woo! I was able to find wings. So I ordered wings for this cosplay, and these are not the ones I ordered. The ones I ordered were really fucking tiny, and I triple checked that too, and I'm so annoyed. So fuck Amazon, which like we already knew, but anyway, my fiance ran to Party City for me and got these ones instead, so it worked out. My day has been very exhausting. I filmed all the pictures today. Like, whew. Exhausting. Actually so exhausting. So oh, god damn it, update. Fuck you. Okay, whatever, it needs to update. Then we'll play. But oh, I need to remove some things off of the screen that are totally not there at all. Do you guys want to see the fit? You want to see the whole outfit in motion? I think it's I'm pretty covered. I have like so many layers on right now. Alright, YouTube, no getting angry. The whole outfit. Ta-da! I totally have skin colored tights on under these, by the way, YouTube, so there's not an actual inch of skin showing other than my hands, in case you were curious. Wait, here, let me actually focus it to the back a little more so you can see it. So you can actually see it. But yeah, I like how it turned out. Yeah, my whole body is on the screen. I was gonna wear leggings with, or leg warmers with it, but I couldn't find them, and I think that's actually okay. It worked out. I think the leg warmers would have been too much, actually. The one time less is more. So let me close this door. This lighting is ugly in the fucking hallway. Go away, ugly hallway lighting. Please, thank you. Okay. Oh. So yeah, I'm trying to avoid a headache at the moment. I should take some Tylenol. The headache is just from this thing. It's very tight. I tried to loosen it, but still giving me a headache. I'm gonna have to open the game, turn mods back on, and then reopen it. Oh my god, why is it always open on that screen? That's not the screen. Where's my mouse? It's over here. You whore, Sims. That's a great question. I think it is I think it's just a blonde wig that they dyed in general. This wig I got off Etsy. It's like an actually nice wig. Don't swallow pills with Sprite. Oh my god. No. No. Ooh. Okay, there we go. Fuck. Mods re-enabled. Ooh. I didn't style it. Yeah, no. Saved me so much time. But it was also like $200. So but it's like really good quality. Oh my god, Sims, why? Stop opening on this fucking page. Okay. Of course it's not there. We are not watching Close to You right now. I just got pissed off all over again remembering that movie. God fucking damn it, bro. No. Oh, come on. It's not responding. Oh, no. Well, there we are. Okay. My fiance is bringing me foods here in a sec. Okay, so to do this, we have to do something. Is this one right? I forget. Anyway, we're gonna try to go to a secret lot in The Sims. All right. That's the plan. So I need a sim that I can steal. Okay. Right. We made this. I forgot about that. I guess we can just, oh my god, can we stop lagging? For fuck's sake. Okay. We're gonna need to use my sim to get there. Cause we have to, yeah. We have to go to the mountains. Okay. But let's think, what are we gonna listen to? Let me find something. Probably some Am I the Asshole, cause that sounds like a good idea. Oops, should have kept that paused. Okay, let's pause, thank you. Where's Munchie? Munchie's inside, Munchie's right there. Angry kitten. Get rid of the mullet, no. Okay. Well, first, oh. I have so many friends. Okay, first off, I'm gonna make it so we're all best friends because obviously. Why would we not be? That's default, like they're my pets. Okay. Skills. I need to give myself can I not do it that way anymore? Fuck. Okay. I forget what's under. Is it under career? No. Stats? No. Household? No. Not you. Girl, where is it? This fucking menu confuses me every time. Because I don't... Where are the skills? Where is it? Where is it? Stats? No. Is it just click normal? Nope. For fuck's sake, where is it? Inventory? No. Recipe. No. Where the fuck is it? Ah. Where the fuck? I want it to be here, but it's not. Personality. Oh my god, are you kidding me? Why would it be there? Why would it be there? Okay, we need to give myself a good fitness level. We'll do 8. God damn it, now we found it though. Personality. Makes fucking sense. Okay. We need to do rock climbing. There you are. We need to 10 rock climbing. And then I'm trying to remember if there's any others we need. That might be useful. We'll do that. Okay. We're doing that. Right? If only it was that fucking easy. Okay. Alright, we need to... Okay. Hey, puppy. Can you go in the fucking house? Baba, go in the fucking house. Everybody inside, please. Okay, that's fantastic. I don't care. Alright, now we're off. And it's lagging. Perfect. Love this update. Thank you, Sims team. You always have such fantastic free updates. Right, we're going here. I guess we'll just go to this. We'll go to this park. Actually, no, we'll go to the bathhouse. We're going to the bathhouse. Hello. Okay. Oh. Hold on, we have tea. I found a good video for us to watch. Oh my god, where is my UI? Where is my UI? Are you fucking kidding me? Okay. There's no UI. Fantastic. Okay, well, whatever. Problem for in a second after I have this start playing. Okay, my husband has informed me he's going on a gaycation with his brother-in-law. Excuse me? We're watching that. We're watching that right now. I'm gonna link you, but we're watching that.
Hey, Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well.
How's the volume?
My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more
like,
Reddit
excuse
stories.
you?
If you do love a Reddit story, why not consider like,
that is so
subscribe,
funny.
Notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now, on our very own subreddit, r/Mark
Not the Gaycation.
This story is from
That should be a plot. We should do that.
1900 and says, my 42 female husband, 42 male,
Hello,
has informed
hello.
me he intends to go on a gaycation with his brother-in-law, 35 male,
Stop.
in Ibiza. How do I
Stop
handle
it.
this? And before we do get into it,
Okay,
there is trigger warnings on it of internalized homophobia and accusations of homophobia as well. So if you do want to skip the story,
wow, I can't do anything.
Timestamps are always down in the description.
Okay,
and along the
I'm just gonna
thank you.
save and exit. We're just gonna.
I really wish I didn't have to make this post, but
let me
here goes.
see if that's updated.
So me and my husband have been happily married for about 16 years, give or take. We both have stable careers, good family life, and are fairly fortunate, despite the cost of living in the UK right now. We have 2 boys, 15 and 10, and up until this Sunday, thought we had it pretty good. We argue sometimes, of course, but never gotten too bad, and we have a pretty decent sex life, with some exploration, but I won't get into that. Long and short is, on Sunday, just after I dropped our boys off at their friends', my husband asked me if we had the house alone, and more importantly, do I have a minute? I said yes, and he sat me down, and then got out this printed poster for some sort of orgy, and started explaining to me the concept of a gaycation. How it's where straight men go to somewhere with sun, sand, and booze, and become gay for the duration of the trip. But that's fine, because it doesn't actually count.
What?
Because what happens on the gaycation stays on the gaycation. I was just completely silent and mortified, even more so when he said he was looking into booking a trip to Ibiza next year with his brother-in-law, his sister's husband, to experience it for himself. When he finally let me speak, I just said, I need him to be
no
clear with me.
words.
Is he gay?
No
Because
words
if yes,
for that, dude.
that's okay, but we need to figure out what
What
happens
the
going
fuck?
forward. I didn't let myself get angry or upset. I was just stunned. He swore up and down how he's not gay, and he's 100% attracted to women, and of course he still loves me and our boys. So I said, well, do you think you're bi maybe?
Buddy.
He got very defensive, saying how I needed to drop the accusations, and that this is the beauty of the gaycation. It allows straight men to experience gayness without actually being gay, and how it's like going to an aquarium. What?
I'm sorry, what?
Again, he was adamant he doesn't find men's bodies or genitalia exciting at all, but he needs to experience this apparently. I said, well, I'm really not comfortable, because even if he was bi, this would be explicitly cheating on me. And he got angry and reiterated he's not, because that's the beauty of the gaycation, etc. I just had enough and left the room. I ignored him for the rest of the day, but
Stop
we spoke at tea
it.
where I again asked him,
Stop
why does he want this so
it.
bad if he's not gay? He said how he's interested in how gay men's life differ to straight men's, and that unfortunately, once the gaycation begins, it's simply impossible for a man to resist.
Once the gaycation begins, you can't resist.
Or be destroyed. I really can't put it into words.
This
how surreal
is
it was.
so
He was
funny.
speaking so matter-of-factly. And he
Please.
again insists that this is a thing that straight men
Please.
do all the time, and how he's actually doing it a bit late. I just said to him if he has any love for me.
Chat,
then
who
he
can
can't go ahead
confirm?
with this, and if he
Can
can't,
anyone
the marriage
confirm the
will be dead.
gaycation?
We didn't speak anymore after that. Since then, he's mentioned no more of it, but somehow, and this is what scares me a lot too, that decision genuinely seems to be tearing him up. He didn't go into work on Monday, and only went in half a day yesterday, because he told them he just felt too ill, and he just looks distraught every time I see him.
Yeah.
I really don't think
Yeah,
he's wholly
that's so
gay,
fucking
though.
funny.
I can absolutely believe he's bi, but
That
I'd
is
rather we talked about
so
it in a healthy
fucking
way
funny,
than this
dude.
incredibly weird denialism around going on a sex holiday to Ibiza. Has anyone known straight guys to do this and go
Girl,
back and just
no.
go back to being straight?
You're just gay
Surely
at that
can't be a thing
point.
that happens. I'm so out of my depth here, and I just don't know how to even initiate the conversation. For the record, I also haven't mentioned it to his sister yet. I don't know how to even break it to her. Thanks for any help. I just don't even want to think. So being able to get this out there has helped even just a little bit. Opie then added an edit saying, wow, this blew up. This has been incredibly sobering, and I think I've now confirmed what I already knew to be the case. The marriage is
Buddy,
dead
he's
one way
gay
or
and
another.
cheating
In a way, I was in
openly.
denial myself about that. I've contacted my sister-in-law, and she initially screamed at me, calling me a liar, and even insinuated I was trying to steal her husband. She rang me back shortly after, apologized, and admitted she was in deep,
Fuck you,
deep
bitch.
shock. I've asked my parents to look after the boys, and we're going to meet tomorrow to discuss this deeper. I've also texted my husband.
What
and
is there
told
to
him
discuss?
we need to make alternative accommodation arrangements. but he will not be sleeping here tonight, and a bag will be waiting for him. Not sure if the mods want to lock the post or not, but I think I've got my answers. Thank you for all the kind words, especially Champion Flight, who really gave me the good dose of reality I needed. P.S. I see a lot of people asking about the
Dude, that
aquarium.
fucking swallowing the pills with the spray is
There is a pretty famous
kicking my
aquarium
ass right
in
now.
the UK called
Okay.
the Deep. At the very end, you walk through a tunnel that goes underneath the main fish tank, so it's quite immersive, I suppose. My husband explained the aquarium thing, and it's a bit like that. You go there and you observe the fishes. You get a bit up close.
Bitch,
but you
what?
never actually enter the
Hello?
water. Get emotionally invested.
Dude,
or
what
become a
the
fish.
fuck?
Gay. So
Gay
it doesn't
fish.
really count.
Oh my god, Kanye.
Very bizarre analogy. It was a very bizarre analogy.
Oh my god, I don't
It
care.
out, it still
Go
makes no
away.
sense.
I don't care.
You just got more in a hush than how I just
Hide.
don't
I
get
don't
it.
want you.
But frankly, I still don't. All I had in my head is the it's always sunny meme. Hey Sylvia, where he's
Okay.
trying to explain with the investigation board behind him.
Okay.
Of trying to find a roundabout way of why he's not cheating with other men, because it's the beauty of Gaycation. What happens there stays there. No, dude,
No.
you're still trying to go away and cheat with other men. It's as simple as that. Nothing else really
Like, that's
matters
so
to me in that.
weird.
But the first commenter said, "Your
Make sure
husband
all the
isn't
aminals are
proposing a
cared for
Gaycation.
while
He's
I...
proposing cheating on you with men while using magical thinking to pretend it doesn't
Oh no,
count.
poor
The
boy.
fact that he's
She was
planning this
born,
with his
poor
sister's
boy.
husband makes it even more disturbing. His bizarre explanation about surrendering mind, body, and soul isn't straight man
Like, that's
curiosity.
so
It's
weird.
someone desperately trying
Okay.
to justify exploring his sexuality while keeping his heterosexual marriage.
Let's go
His
find
depression about not
this.
being able to go isn't about missing a vacation. It's about being forced to confront his
Where is
sexuality
it?
without his convenient "what happens in Ibiza stays in Ibiza" excuse. His meltdown over not going shows how
Again, this
desperately
update.
he wants to avoid
Oh, this
facing
way.
this reality. Opie says, "I read this over multiple times, and I guess the worst part is,
Okay, here
I know
it
you're
is.
completely
Okay.
right."
Right to the
Loads
top.
of people said,
Yes.
Opie should consider about the divorce, and Opie says, "I wanted to avoid the divorce option, but I guess it's the only option, isn't it?" The commenter says to OP, "So this is just a thought, but I'm wondering if he was really planning on doing the Gaycation, or if that was just a cover to try and get you to agree to it. What if the plan was to get with women while he's down there?"
Nah.
Opie says that, "I haven't really thought of that, to be honest. And now that thought terrifies me.
Nah, he gay.
From the way he's talking about men, the fact get a poster for a gay orgy. I mean, it's one hell of a bluff, surely." Another commenter says,
He had
"Tell
a
him you're
what?
going to have a straightcation while he's gone, and you're going to surrender mind, body, and soul to other men. Honest to God, if my husband proposed this to me, I'd use this time away to pack up, move out, and have divorce papers waiting
Oh
for
wait,
him."
no, no.
OP came into
Shit.
the post.
I didn't realize we
with an
already got to the
update,
top.
And it said, "So when I last posted, I contacted my husband to tell him he wouldn't be staying at home tonight, and a bag would be waiting for him.
Alright, let's
You
go.
can imagine we argued quite badly. I won't go into the specific details, but no, I'm 100% on board with the fact, at minimum, he's bi. Might even be gay altogether. We've had arguments in the past, but I've genuinely never seen him have such a childish tantrum before.
Bree.
Screaming about how I just don't understand the Gaycation. Absolutely despise that phrase now. And
I just don't
insinuating I'm
understand
actually
the
homophobic because
Gaycation.
I refuse to allow him to participate in this cultural exchange with the gay
Please.
community. A lot of you said
cultural
to ask him if
exchange
it'd be
with the what
acceptable if
now?
the roles were in reverse. And I did
Oh.
say, would it be acceptable if I went and slept with other guys during that week? Like fucking clockwork. He was very angry and offended. And I said it's completely different because a
What?
gaycation means nothing. And what happens on the gaycation stays on the gaycation, etc. So it
That's
doesn't
just
actually count.
not
It'll
how it
just
works.
be straight up cheating. Well, I turned it around on him. No, but you see what happens in Manchester stays in Manchester. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't count. It's like bird watching. And I think it got through to him.
Like,
He went all quiet and then started crying, admitting the thought of me sleeping with another man is destroying his heart, but relationships need sacrifices. So agreed, while in
What?
tears, that when he goes on the gaycation, I get 1 week in Manchester to do whatever I want. He doesn't want me to, but
Buddy,
that's
what?
fair in a twisted way, he supposed. I told him to get out of my house. Thankfully, he left without a fight. I know it's incredibly petty, but I also
Oh.
drained the joint bank account.
I probably need climbing gear,
legally
yeah.
in the UK, so he couldn't try to use it against me. About an hour later, I got rang up by his mum, my mother-in-law, who just screamed and screamed at me about being a cheating whore, how I was horrible, what about the kids, etc. When I finally got my composure back, I just said, ask your son about the gaycation. Obviously, at first, she got angry, but I said, no, just ask him about the gaycation. It explained, but she called me a fucking joke and hung up. Later on, getting into the evening, I got another call from her in floods of tears. She was very apologetic, and I told her she doesn't need to be the one to apologize. She was so upset she put father-in-law on the phone, who, while he sounded calm, I could just tell he was sort of on the warpath. Again, very apologetic, and said he overheard that phrase. Asked my husband, and husband initially said no, it's nothing.
Bubba, can you move?
A modern thing,
Thank you.
etc. And gave them the same spiel about how what happens on the gaycation, men cannot resist the gaycation, and how
I don't want to poke you in the face with the wings, buddy.
Etc. Father-in-law just said they told him to leave or they'd call the police. Don't care where he goes, but he wasn't staying there. Husband tried to call me while I was on the phone, but I just ignored it. And father-in-law just said he was sorry for me and that they have my corner in this, so that's one thing. Told them to be there for their daughter because it sounds like brother-in-law is involved. Husband didn't tell them that. And father-in-law just said he had to go because he was so angry. Got a text from my husband after the phone call, which was all weirdly rambly, saying about how I'd abused the gaycation to destroy his marriage and destroy his life. And again, insinuated I and his parents was homophobic for doing such a thing. Told him we'll talk when he grows up and blocked his number. I took a day off work myself to have the locks changed this morning, so that's £500.
Okay, I guess we're going back down.
At least I know he won't be coming back. I'm going to look into how to proceed with a divorce, and then we'll move on from there.
We need to go purchase climbing gear.
There's also the brother-in-law. So I haven't yet met with sister-in-law. She was in such a state and has taken this far worse than I have for reasons that'll be clear soon. We're going to, maybe tomorrow, try, but we did talk over the phone, and I eavesdropped on the conversation with her husband where she put her phone on speaker, and I went on mute. Her husband got home earlier. She made him come home, told him there was an emergency, and just said to him, "Can you please explain what a gaycation is?" She told me afterwards she was praying he'd look confused or just be like, "What?" or anything like that. But instead, he just sat her down and explained that a gaycation is a new thing where straight men go to gay hotspots and participate in gay sex acts. But it doesn't count because there's no investment.
Buddy.
And because what happens on the gaycation
Buddy, what the
stays
fuck?
on the gaycation.
Buddy, what the ever-loving fuck?
Putting them in a drawer. You never have to see them again. Whole time,
No.
sister-in-law is in tears as he just calmly bats off the same points my husband did about how it doesn't count, and even did the whole "it's impossible to resist, you must surrender or be destroyed" shit. I seriously think they must be speaking to a dominatrix or something. Are there even male doms?
Yes.
Because surely neither of them are that into this to actually make that up on their own. I really don't want to go into what was discussed for her sake, but it did become very apparent to me that the brother-in-law is into sissy hypno porn, and at times conflated that with the concept of a gaycation. There was this utterly surreal moment where sister-in-law is just trying to wrap her head around this, while also in floods of tears, and he explains, so genuinely, so matter-of-factly, that for most men, the gaycation is either a one-time or annual thing, but some men go on the gaycation for years, and others simply never return. Control to be totally feminized into a state of permanent pseudo-gayness. She said in disbelief, "Surely if you're taking out the ass willingly because you want to, that makes you gay." And he said no, because that's the beauty of the gaycation.
Please.
You can do all this gay stuff, but you don't interact with a wider
Oh
gay
my
life
god, this is so
experience.
fucking funny.
She asked him if the sissy stuff is what he wanted, and
Holy
he said,
shit.
not on a long-term basis. And was
Oh my
adamant
god.
this is something all straight men do.
No.
But she wouldn't get it because she's a woman. There were more insinuations of homophobia.
Oh my god, that is
that
so
marriage is dead
fucking
too, I
funny.
suppose. The whole ordeal ended
Arnor
when she said to him
Paul.
there's a choice to make, and he said no. He doesn't need to make this choice because the beauty of the gaycation is that it allows him to keep his marriage because it doesn't count.
No.
She said that's not the choice. The choice is whether he's leaving the house that night or she is. Only good thing he did was leave. Me and sister-in-law spoke about it after that, and I'm just still utterly stunned. I understand she's gone to her parents for support. What exactly did we do to have our lives
Get out of
destroyed
here. I
in
need to
such
buy
a
shit.
bizarre, embarrassing way? For some advice, I'm going to look at devices and bank statements to see if I can find
There we
any
go.
definitive proof
Purchase
of cheating.
climbing gear.
After that, I suppose figure out how I tell the boys why their father won't be coming home. Edit. Spoke to other sister-in-law. My husband's family, his older sister, him, younger sister / original sister-in-law, and gave her a skimmed-down version of it. She asked her husband, and thankfully he was deeply confused, but then mentioned about 2 years ago at a birthday party. He was approached by my husband and brother-in-law.
What's the gameplay
about signing
like?
up to some online boot camp around BDSM cross-dressing. He assumed that they were taking the piss out of him, so told him to fuck off and never really thought of it again. The fact that this has been going on for that long is making me want to throw up. P.S. for the poster who said about divorce options. I'm actually going to look into adultery because, plain and simple, that's what this is. The top commenter said on this one, your husband and brother-in-law are in a deep shed delusion that's destroyed 2 families. Their identical talking points about surrender and destruction prove
yes, but we can save it. I mean, we haven't done that much so far, so I'm okay with not being too worried at the moment. We're not really building anything right now, we're just kind of trying to get this stuff. I have climbing gear now? Okay.
Accusations of homophobia show how desperately they're trying to avoid responsibility. The identical language, the bizarre aquarium and bird-watching analogies, the talk of surrender or be destroyed.
Yeah, it's so weird.
There is some online echo chamber that's completely divorced from reality. When your husband agreed to let you have a Manchester week while crying, you revealed the whole lie. And it's exactly what this is. Cheating. He just wants permission to do it while denying you the same. The talk of hypnosis and permanent feminization reveals just how far this goes.
It just feels like sissy
protect your assets
hypno porn, which is
everything. This will get worse before it gets better.
If you're into that, that's fine.
Focus on
but
protecting
like,
yourself and your children.
Why are you making it your wife's problem?
Their shared fantasy to see the destruction they're causing. What a pathetic hill for 2 men to die on. They destroy their marriages, traumatized their families, and alienated their parents, all while insisting none of it counts, because they made up special rules about it. They want to cheat without consequences, and they found an online community that validates this fantasy. I can only agree with that comment that they're part of some sort of online community that's helping them sort of justify those desires while maintaining this denial at the same time. Some parts felt like very cult-like, this whole surrender yourself and or be destroyed is just like, what? I know one thing though, reading all these Reddit stories and the different things that we cover, my search history is absolutely messed up. I feel like this is going to be one of those Reddit stories that sticks in the mind for a long time, like the poo knife, like the pillar guy, like Ogtha. I think Gaycation is going to be permanently seared into my brain.
Gaycation is definitely...
in a movie say surrender or be destroyed, well, rip me, I guess. But what do you guys make of this situation? What a wild time, right? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me, so thank you so much, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care.
Alright, I think that my food has arrived, so I'm gonna throw up the break screen really fast. Actually, yeah. I'll be right back with food, and then we will fucking climb this mountain, hopefully. Break screen. Okay, never mind. Not ready yet. But I found another video for us to watch. So, here we go.
My sister-in-law pranked me by giving me alcohol, knowing that I don't drink. I feel like I'm spiraling
I'll
about
link you
it.
in a sec.
I, 29 female, don't drink alcohol. The short answer to the reason for this is that I grew with two highly abusive alcoholic parents. It took me a lot of self-work and therapy to even be able to be in the same room as people that are drinking.
Oh god, let's see if we can get this shit working.
I just politely turned down drinks by saying something along the lines of, I don't drink. There has obviously been some instances where people ask me why, but I've never gone into the traumatic details. I've never had anyone push it onto me or anything. That's what makes what happened last weekend so bizarre.
Can I make it me?
On the second Saturday of every month, my husband, 30 male, and his sister, 32 female, throw a cookout or something along the lines for all of their childhood friends. I've always thought that it was really cool that they stayed close with so many people, since I myself moved away from home and only stay in contact with one friend from school. I've been attending these hangouts ever since my husband and I started dating. There has never been any issues.
I don't actually need
I
him.
get along well with all his friends and his sister. Last Saturday, my husband took my 11-year-old little brother out of town for a dad/son day. We're his legal guardians, and I've had custody of him since I was 20. So I went to the cookout alone this time. I've done this a couple of times before, and it's always been fine. So, my sister-in-law handed out the usual mimosas. I asked for just orange juice like always. When I took a sip of the drink she handed me, I immediately spit it out because I could taste champagne. I turned around to my sister-in-law and said,
"Why would she do that?"
"Oh, you must have given me your drink by mistake." When I turned, I noticed her and two of her friends laughing. I was so confused.
Oh, never mind, not a mistake.
I asked what was going on, and my sister-in-law said through her giggles, "We thought it would be funny to see how you react to alcohol since we've never seen you drink it before. You should have seen your face." Is that not a crime? I was honestly just so shocked by that my only response was, "What the hell?" As they continued laughing, I just told them that I was leaving.
Go to jail. What are you talking about?
I that drive home because I was trying to keep myself from having a panic attack. When I finally got home, I just broke down crying. My husband and brother got home shortly after that, and I couldn't hide how I was feeling.
Alright, you need to have more skills.
My husband immediately asked me what was wrong, and I just broke down again. I hate that my brother had to see me cry. I try to keep our house as happy and as safe as possible. After I put on a movie for my brother, I explained what happened to my husband, and he was so mad. I've never seen him like that before. He told me to go relax with my brother, and that he was going to sort everything out. I could hear him yelling at his sister on the phone, and after almost an hour, he came and sat with us and told me that we wouldn't be seeing her again. The next day, we told my mother and father-in-law. I've always been really close with them, so I wanted to confide in them. But I was obviously scared because that's their daughter, and I didn't want to talk bad about her to them. To my surprise, they were absolutely mortified and so apologetic on behalf of their daughter. I'm so glad because my little brother adores them. It would have been devastating if our relationship with them suffered because of this. So yeah,
there we go.
This past week has been so weird. I feel weirdly betrayed. I hate that my sister-in-law and her friends used me as some sort of entertainment for the day. I know that they don't know the trauma this triggered inside of me, but I'm just so confused on why they thought that was an okay thing to do. I also feel guilty because I don't want my husband to stop going to the cookouts and lose his time with his friends, and I don't want him and his sister to never see each other again because of me. My husband is amazing and has assured me that it wouldn't be my fault if they never speak again. It's just hard not to feel that way. Don't worry though, I've had a lot of emergency therapy sessions this week, and I know that I'll be okay. It was just such a bizarre thing to experience. It seems like such a small, inconsequential thing to have happen to me.
Where is call over?
It's been a crash course on trauma, triggers, PTSD, etc.
Oh my god.
Typing it out has been so helpful. Thanks for listening to my ramblings.
Whatever.
In comments, Intrepid Can says, "What the hell would make your sister-in-law think this was acceptable? I'm assuming she didn't know why you don't drink. What if you were in recovery or something and she triggered a relapse? Going no contact with her seems like the right thing to do. I'm sorry that you had to go through that, and I'm happy to hear that your husband
check
and
his
parents
readiness.
aren't
Check his
coddling their
readiness.
daughter. I'm wondering if she has a history of stuff like this, and that's why your in-laws
Yeah, it's
were
just
so
weird.
immediately
Oh my god.
apologetic.
No, go here
People
together.
are so weird about alcohol consumption. It's poison.
They're so weird. I don't.
Yes, it's a
It's like I
tasty
don't
poison,
drink, and people
or
get
can be,
so weirdly
but there
offended
are
when you say that
literally
you don't
numerous
drink. I
reasons
don't
why someone
understand.
doesn't want to consume it. But in my limited
There we are.
experience, people do not like to be confronted by even a potential failure.
Where-
and being around
where is the
someone
next
teetotal
wall, bruh?
Seems to poke
Is it
so many
this?
bears.
Where
My
is
father
it?
accused me of being an alcoholic when I was around 21, and I went cold turkey for months. In the end,
Where-
he tried to force me to imbibe again because he felt uncomfortable with my actions.
Where is it?
I drink
Where the fuck is
occasionally
it?
now, but a bout of COVID destroyed both my tolerance for alcohol and my overall enjoyment of it, so it's much rarer.
Huh?
It makes people feel uncomfortable. Fizzly Pixie says, it's no one's
don't
business
see anything
why
to
you don't
climb.
drink. End of. One of my best friends doesn't drink, and we've all stood up for her when people would ask why she doesn't. She simply doesn't care for it. I myself rarely drink now, unless there's an event, because I personally can't be bothered and feel like I did enough
That's
when I
it.
was in my late teens and early 20s. It's so sad and pathetic that this is their attitude, and it's quite immature.
Is it this way?
Who cares if one doesn't drink? It's not like the earth is going
Where
to stop spinning.
the fuck?
You do you. Don't give that kind of noise any attention. You have good support around you from people who are actually mature and adults. It's not your fault
Huh.
of the consequences she is receiving. She effed
Where
around
is it?
and she found out. Boo boo for her learning a lesson on being a dick for no reason.
Hold on, I'm finding
Completely
I'm finding
understand
it.
why you're spiraling about it. Completely understand why you would want to be, so private about why that is an issue for you. Your sister-in-law should know to respect you, but unfortunately she doesn't. And I genuinely do hope she gets called out for it and has some serious consequences for those actions. It's not funny. It's not a prank. And I hope she recognizes that, given the reaction she has gotten from everyone in your immediate surroundings that is close to you. I hope she takes that message to heart, and I hope that she does apologize. And yeah, like Intrepid Ken asked at the end there, I'm wondering if she has a history of stuff like this, and that's why your in-laws were so immediately apologetic. It genuinely could be a case of, she's just not right in the head, and she's always going to be like that, and if that's the case, and she doesn't apologize and she doubles down, it's okay to cut her out of your life. And now, on to the updates. A lot of you guessed right.
Okay.
This isn't the first time my sister-in-law has done something like this.
And no one
She's
stopped her?
definitely what some would consider
What
a
the
mean
hell?
girl. My husband and his parents have had multiple falling outs with her over the years, but they've been on good terms recently until she pranked me. So, yeah. I could see how my husband's immediate reaction to go no contact seemed like an overreaction, but he's dealt with a lot from her in the past. I don't want to give any specific examples because they're personal to my husband and his family. I hope you all understand. So here's what happened after my last post. After talking with my therapist and with my husband, I decided that I wanted to
Okay.
message my sister-in-law. I asked her if she wanted to get lunch and talk about
I
what
didn't even click
happened.
that.
I wanted to explain some of my past to her, my PTSD diagnosis, and why what she did affected me so much. I
Right,
just
they feel
wanted
bad.
this to be
It's
over
so
with
weird. I don't
and
get
for
it.
us to come to an understanding, but she never responded. A couple of my husband's friends that were
It's like, no,
aware
girl, I
of the
just
prank
don't
happened
like to
called us to
drink.
check in on me.
It's
They
not
said
that
they
deep.
had no idea that my sister-in-law planned that, and they would never have let it happen. That's probably why she didn't clue them in on the prank. They told me that after I left, they told her that it wasn't cool. After a couple of days, I just gave up hope of her messaging me back and decided to start moving on. Yesterday, my sister-in-law blew up my husband's phone.
Oh?
She said some pretty awful things. To summarize,
Where is
it was
it?
along the lines of, it's not your
So this
fault
way?
that your wife is a pussy
Uh-huh.
that is scared of champagne.
Oh.
She called me a bunch of names, from everything to bitch, see you next Tuesday, etc. She said she never liked me,
What the hell?
and she wished my husband stayed with his high school girlfriend.
Oh.
They broke up when they were 18, by the way. My husband is 30. And the worst thing that she said was, my husband was just doing charity by taking in a couple of orphans. If you don't remember, I have custody of my 11-year-old brother.
Bruh?
We don't have any contact with our parents because they're abusive.
Oh?
So, yeah, some pretty
Why?
awful stuff. I was honestly just shocked. I thought we got along fine. We were never
True.
best friends or anything, but I had no idea she held this much animosity towards me. Maybe she's
What
just
the heck?
embarrassed and lashing out because her parents and some of her friends berated her for it? I don't know. My husband sent just one message back to her saying that he never wants to see or talk to her again, and then blocked her and her husband's numbers. He told his parents what happened, and they were furious too. I don't know what they said to her, but they're about as done as my husband. Since I've been
Good.
busy in therapy and
What the
have
hell?
support around me, her words didn't bother me much. I know she obviously has some problems to deal with, and I'm just her latest target. The worst thing she did was bring my brother up. I'll never forgive her for that. He's not an orphan. He has two parents that love him, and I'm not either. I have my in-laws that love and support me. They will always have my back, even when
Buddy,
it comes
just
to their own
fine.
daughter. If I never see my sister-in-law again, I'd be fine with that.
Sure.
I truly hope that one day she'll come to her senses and understand
Just
the way
climb
that she
it.
treats people isn't right. We've decided to turn every second Saturday of the month into Family Day in place of the cookouts. I'm gonna be just fine. I'm already feeling miles better than I did writing my previous post. For everyone calling me dramatic, I'm genuinely glad you don't have experience with PTSD or triggers. I don't think it's funny to give someone alcohol without their consent, even if you know the person drinks. Anyway, again, thank you for all the kind words. I hope there will be no more updates, but if anything crazy happens, I'll let you know.
Come on, buddy, you can get
In
there.
comments,
So
Dryad
close.
says, some people truly stay bullies for life. They never grow past that
Okay.
schoolyard desire to do something awful and laugh about it with their friends. It's quite remarkable, isn't it? I'm never sure if these people are deeply unhappy and need to take it out on someone, or if they are really happy because they lack the bandwidth for introspection. Brewcat says,
We have
"My
to rest
ex-husband
for at
was
least
this
an
way,
hour."
And it came out in therapy that he was unhappy, but that he thought
How
that everyone
annoying.
was or felt the same way, and that his above-average intelligence just caused him to be aware of the inherent misery of being alive.
We're just gonna.
It's an attitude that, since he brought to my attention, I've noticed in a lot of the schoolyard bully types of adults. These people
I know,
think
finally
that
we
everyone
climbed
around
it, like,
them is just
goddamn
as
it.
mean and toxic to the core, but that the
Come
rest of us
here,
are just
sir.
fumbling through life, wondering why we
Come
are this
here.
way, while they, in their superiority, have this greater understanding.
Ah.
Stranger to Stranger says, I bet $10 that sister-in-law assumed that OP was an alcoholic in recovery and wanted to make her fall off the wagon.
Probably,
Or
which
thought
is
that she
even
couldn't
worse,
handle her
bro.
alcohol
What the
well
hell?
And wanted to see OP make a fool of herself.
None of it's
Vicarious
good,
Fox
honestly.
asks, why are people so insistent about correcting other people who operate differently than them?
It's so weird.
I drink, but my wife doesn't, and I wouldn't even
Bro, come
think
here.
of betraying her like that. It's just such gross behavior. And Agent
Come
Flounder
here,
says,
I wanna get
in
to the
my
top."
experience, it's guilt because they know they can't control their drinking. Jane replies to that, I feel like a lot of people see there as being one right way of things, and someone making a different choice calls into question whether they're doing things the right way or not, and they find the whole thing threatening. So they have to convince people to do the same thing they are to prove that they are doing the right thing after all. Makes sense. But yeah, that was kind of like a deep dive into schoolyard bully psychology, huh? I didn't really ever picture
We
it
don't
that
need
way,
to
but when
eat.
you think of it like that, it makes sense. I kind of got the vibe as well that the sister-in-law does this a lot, and she's always going to be like that, so
What's this?
I'm glad that she's
Oh,
getting
it's just a
cut
bush.
off. I'm glad that the mask slipped and she's not able to do
Is that a
any
cave?
more damage to OP than she's already done. She's getting what she deserves, and I hope that she's miserable with it, so, you know, happy ending all around, I say. What do you guys think about this one? Let me know down in the
What's
comments
that?
below.
That's fun.
Unexposed is by user Ambitious Method, and it's titled, Am I the
True.
asshole for paying for and supporting my children's sister, but not my girlfriend's children? I, 44 male, have 2 kids, 18
Bro,
male
why?
and 16 male, from a previous relationship.
I don't get
My
that.
ex has another kid, 14 female. My
Oh,
sons have
we're
always
supposed to
been
climb
very
up
loving
this.
and doting big brothers to their sister. Their sister's dad died when she was 4. I am not her dad, but I felt for her. I grew up as the only kid of my parents' union with half-siblings, and I was treated like an outsider. So, when he died, I stepped into a sort of uncle role for her. All 3 kids go to
Are we
a
gonna
rather
make it or are we gonna
expensive
fall
private
again?
school.
Let's
I pay the
go.
tuition for all 3.
Let's fucking
I've been dating my
go.
girlfriend, 37 female, for 3 years.
Yeah.
She's lived with me for the last year. She works at the school and has 2 kids there, 13 female and 10 male. The pay is terrible, but a perk is that she gets a pretty steep tuition discount, as do all
Let's
the
go.
employees. Her ex pays the
We
remaining
getting
tuition
there.
plus child support for their kids. Well, her ex's
true.
business model imploded a while back, and he had
For
a
some reason that
significant
bothers
decrease
people
in
a
his
lot.
income. They went to court,
I don't
and the
know
court
why.
decreased his child support significantly. He also is no longer paying the remainder. This means that my girlfriend needs to make it up, or kids go to public school. That really isn't possible for her. She asked me to help. I refuse. I have a strict budget that I keep to every month. If this was a true emergency, I would help, but it isn't. She then said that I could simply switch the money that I pay for
Dude, I
my
can't wait
ex's
for it to
daughter
snow.
to her kids, and that would allow them to pay. But I refuse to do that. She is staying with her parents and hasn't talked to me in a week. Am I the asshole? In the comments,
Go in the cave.
Professor Plum did it says, "This is a tough one because I do see her point that, as your girlfriend, she would
No,
like to be
nothing.
prioritized over your ex, including financially.
Okay.
On the other hand, I see your point that you can't afford to pay tuition for all the kids, and you already made a commitment to your ex to pay her daughter's tuition for this year. You said you'd do it if it was a true emergency.
You got snow?
So I'm
Oh,
assuming the money
share.
exists, but just in some sort of savings
The
fund
Gaycation
rather than
game.
general funds.
Might be.
Could you maybe front her the money to give her time to look for other options, or reduce her share of household expenses, if she pays any? All the kids involved are equally deserving, and none of them did anything wrong to deserve to have to change schools. So you
Did he
aren't an
make it?
arsehole for not
No,
withdrawing
he's there,
tuition
yeah.
for your son's sister, but if you stand by and do nothing while your girlfriend's kids have to change schools, which will also make getting them to and from a new school while she works at the current school more challenging, when you could prevent it, then your girlfriend dumping you for not treating her as a priority is the right move for her and her kids. Partners help each other when they can.
I feel like you
Berkey
should help.
replies, "We are talking about $35,000 to front her
Ooh.
for the next semester. I help her out financially by providing her with a place to live for free. She does not pay for utilities or groceries. There is no practical way for her to pay me back. While I have it in savings, I have to be very careful with my savings as a small business owner.
I happen
The cash flow
upon
of
a
my
large
business
warm
ebbs
cavern
and
that seems to be
flows.
lit with
The
a
savings
warm
is
yellow
reserved
light.
for
Small
true
green trees and
emergencies,
moss are glowing
personal
happily
or
there.
business.
Suddenly a number of
I
forest
am not prioritizing
spirits
my ex as I
appear
see
and
it.
dance around me.
This is my
They
kid's
giggle
sister,
they
not
giggle and
simply
laugh
my
before
ex's
disappearing
kid.
back into the
I am
vegetation.
prioritizing
I
my
noticed a
kids
small
and teaching
spirit
them to
doll in the
view and
front.
treat
He
their
doesn't know is
sister
that
like
I didn't know it was there
family.
before. I
No
collect it and
cockroach
head back to the
says,
cave entrance.
"It is not $35,000 for next semester. You could potentially be looking at 5 years for 13 female and 8 for 10 male. Assuming
Right.
2
I
semesters
kick a
per year, and school
gathered
fees do not
mound of
increase,
snow and notice a
there's
few
no way
mail
this
packages.
happens,
It is a
we're looking
mystery
at
as to how they
slightly
ended
over
up here. One package is a pair of
$400,000
orange and
in
yellow
total
wings
as a
bound and
minimum.
3 blue rings.
School fees are normally
I
discussed
chose not to
separately
open that
in
package as
child
it feels
maintenance and
mysterious,
support
but I opened
because
the
it's
other
very
and there's new
expensive
decorative
and
item.
not a necessity.
Okay.
Unless you're an extremely wealthy individual, you cannot afford
Sir,
to just pay
come
private
here.
school fees for another child out of the blue. The consideration is not just the next year, but the child's education journey. Your girlfriend
There we
has to
go.
consider if her ex's income has
Move
dramatically
on.
changed permanently. Then her kids
Yes.
have to go to public school, and they'll have to make
Santa's
lifestyle
cave.
changes as well. If your girlfriend had stayed married, they would have had to pull the 2 kids from private school. You committed to pay for the kids' half-siblings' education, you budgeted for it. This was a
Alright.
commitment that she knew you had.
Pausing for a sec because now I have food. Alright. Be right back. Okay, so Munchie needs to be distracted because the doggies are eating. So, hey Munchie.
Where's he? Oh, he's over here. Sir. Sir, this is for sir. Get him. Want it? There you go. He finally has snacks in here. Okay.
She shouldn't have asked you to renege on this commitment and pay for her kids instead.
I have Borger.
Money is not an infinite resource for most of us, sadly. If the circumstances were such that you could only pay for private education for 2 kids, would your girlfriend tell you to pay for your kids or pay for her kids? Private education is very expensive. If the parents are happy to pay, it is their prerogative. If they cannot afford to pay, they should not ask someone else to pay.
Hello.
If a third party offers to pay, then accept that offer with grace. But if no offer is made, you should not demand. Not the asshole. Professor Plum did it says, like I said, you aren't an asshole. But I get your girlfriend's perspective, especially given your last sentence, where it's clear that you have no interest in her kids being considered family by your kids. This is probably the end of the relationship.
Yeah.
But to be honest, nothing you've said indicates that that would bother you very much, so no big deal, really.
I don't know.
He says, that is a major jump in logic. I started paying her tuition 8 years ago. I was explaining why I did it. I was not offering any commentary about the relationship between my kids and my girlfriends. Professor Plum did it says, quote, I am prioritizing my kids and teaching them to view and treat their sister like family. You said yourself that your priority is ensuring that your kids view and treat their sister like family, which is why you can't and won't help your girlfriend with her kids' tuition. Our actions reflect our feelings and our priorities, and your actions say that you don't see her kids as family and don't care if your kids do. If you did, your actions would reflect
Yeah,
that,
I feel like you don't see them as family. It's like, I get not wanting to pay for it, but then you don't see them as family.
I'm not saying that's wrong or makes you an asshole, just that it's obvious to everyone by your actions and your own stated priority that you aren't invested in joining families with her or teaching your kids to see hers as a family, and vice versa. And she sees that, which probably means the relationship is over.
Well, hi,
OP
thank
replies, again, another major jump in logic. My actions reflect that they have been with their sister for 14 years.
That's funny.
She is blood and lived with her for that time. By nature, the relationship they have with kids they don't live with, who
Did
aren't
they?
even step-siblings yet, is going to be different.
Interesting.
The hope is, as our
I didn't know they did
relationship
that.
progresses, they get closer,
Yeah.
and they have. But it is going to take time for them to have the relationship with those kids that they have with their sister. I know what it's like to try and force a sibling relationship in a blended family. It's a disaster. Professor Plum did it replies, but it's going to take time for them to have the relationship with those kids that they have with their sister. You stated that you started paying her tuition to teach them to see her as family. Do you not see the fact that you aren't paying their tuition teaches them the opposite? If you do one thing, pay tuition, to teach something, but then do the opposite, not pay tuition, it then teaches the opposite. In any situation, not just this one. If you don't teach them to see her kids as family, they won't. Just like you had to teach them to see their sister as family. It honestly will be better for her kids if your relationship ends, and I think she knows that. Her kids are going to be forced to change schools mid-year, leave behind their friends, classes, and everything they have ever known, school-wise, and adapt to a completely new location, teachers, students, etc. It's scary and intimidating, but it happens a lot to many kids, so it's not insurmountable. But if they stay living with you and your kids who get to stay at the old school, and will be talking about the people and things that happened there, that would be brutal on her kids. They would rub their noses in just how much they lost. They would end up feeling less than, and that's unhealthy. So if you don't want to pay their tuition, that is valid and that's okay. Just please
Okay,
end
we made
the
it.
relationship so that they can make a clean break
Ooh.
and not have to live with people who, even though they wouldn't intend to, make them feel
Holy
bad
shit.
about their lives and remind them of their losses. OP replies, first, my kids did not know for years that I paid her tuition. When it came for her to start school, they talked about how excited they were to go to school with her, what teachers she might have, etc. And she was equally excited to go to school with them. I didn't wave the tuition check in their faces and say, I'm paying your sister's tuition so you see her as family. Rather, I did not want to divide between them, where she went to one school and they went to another.
Yeah,
while
I
being
think that
raised
really
in the
no,
same
you didn't
house.
literally do that.
And they have no idea how my girlfriend's kid's tuition is paid. If I paid it, I also would not wave around a tuition check talking about how I pay their tuition in front of her or my kids. Something you seem to miss, which I stated before, her kids and my kids do not live together. Her kids stay with their dad most of the time, although they have joint custody. Her kids are over on the weekends. My kids are almost never here on weekends because of jobs, girlfriends, and extracurriculars. My girlfriend
This is
couldn't
true, I
afford a
didn't know your
two-bedroom
name.
apartment and was about to get evicted when she moved in. She
Yes,
still
we
cannot
can.
afford a two-bedroom apartment anywhere near the school, which means
Ooh.
likely leaving and going to a different school district. Her kids
Hello,
have
snow.
friends that go
Goodbye,
to the local public
snow.
school here. When my girlfriend has had an emergency, I have stepped in. She needed a car, I bought her a car and put it in her name. Her daughter needed braces, I paid for it. But this is too big an ask. The whole reason that she's in this situation is her ex was highly leveraged in his business and personal life, so that when his business decreased, he could not meet this obligation to his kids.
Nice.
Paying their tuition.
Yeah, I haven't
likely
seen you in a hot
foreseeable
minute.
Future
I'm glad
puts
you're back.
me in the same position.
Bro, this burger
is just
messy.
a terrible situation to be stuck in all of a sudden as well. And I guess they never really planned for it because I don't think it's something you particularly want to plan for. I can understand why OP has so much pushback on the commenter for what they're saying because we don't know the full story, we don't know the living situation and arrangements like that. But regardless, even if those two come on the weekends, they are still going to be exposed to OP's kids who will talk about their school. Or even if they don't, that presence of they get the private school that I was taken out of will still be there. And I think that's a very much valid point that OP is trying to dismiss in their response. I don't think
There we
that
go.
breaking up is the solution in this one.
Oh, okay.
It is a solution, but I don't know if it's the right
Now we can
thing
build
to
Santa's
do.
house.
I think most likely they're just going to have to go to public school, rearrange their life, and bite the bullet and kind of just deal with it. Because what other choice do they have? They're going to be going to public school either way. And now, on to the update. Well, one of the comments on the original post really struck a nerve with me. It talked about how my girlfriend's insistence that my kid's sister go to public school, but her kids cannot, really revealed her character. We've had some follow-up discussions. Basically, she insisted that my kid's sister isn't my family, so if anyone is going to benefit from my money, it should be my kids or potential stepkids. I told her that I think that she is being harsh to a child, and the fact that she can be so cavalier about a child who has only one parent makes me want to break up. So I made the decision to break up. She's moving out in a month. Likely her kids will have to go to public school in a different district because the few apartments in our district are way too expensive for her.
I get them.
She's pissed and asked me to
Okay.
reconsider multiple times. I think this is for the best. She asked if she could use my address so that they could go to the local public school next semester. My understanding is that that can potentially be considered fraud and land me in legal trouble. So I said no. She says not only am I forcing her kids to change schools mid-school year, they will have to go to a school where they don't know any kids. They at least are friends with kids in the local public schools. Oh, that's it. That's the post. Oh, yikes. Man, you hate to see it, but it makes sense. In the comments, Kozayakin says, 35
I think I want to make this challenging and make a diagonal house.
Discounted rate. If that kid doesn't come out speaking 7 languages, playing 6 instruments at a professional level, a polo star, and solving cold fusion, then I'd want a refund. Right? The hell kind of private school is that? That's more than a lot of colleges. I worked briefly in a school with similar tuition. It was infants all the way to 12th grade, multiple different buildings for academics, arts, and athletics, with an indoor heated pool. There was also catered fresh cooked meals
making
every
Santa's
day, complete with hot meals, salad bar, and a very well stocked deli sandwich bar, world-class teachers who could absolutely be tenured professors somewhere, and unbelievable amounts of tech available for students' use. Yeah, so it's on OP to fund another 2 kids to go through a school like that. Fair enough, I can see why the breakup happened. I think it's for the best.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah,
she
we're
was
gonna read
unreasonable.
this.
OP realized she was being unreasonable. This is the natural outcome of trying to force someone who doesn't have to pay for your kids to go to a ridiculously expensive school. Oh my god.
No.
Anyway, guys, that's where I'm gonna leave today's episode.
We're gonna do this.
I know that there's not too much closure on that one, but what else can I say
Amazing.
about that? Like, the story's over.
I've been good.
Thanos
I've been
died.
good.
Let's go. We're past the end game now.
Tired.
Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'd love to
Finally
see you in
got,
the next
like,
one. Bye.
My restraining order. Well, it's technically not a restraining order. Technically, it is a anti-harassment protection order, which is different than a restraining order. Because an anti-harassment protection order basically means you can't, like, stalk me, keep tabs on me, try to contact me directly or via third parties, can't have images of me, things like that. So I have that, which is really fun. Ooh, okay. This is a gift one's Christmassy. Sort of, maybe. Hopefully it's Christmassy.
Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider, like, subscribe, maybe that notification
But anyway, yeah.
bell too.
Got that against my
And let's
stalker.
crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now, today's first story comes from Angels of Death, Zach, who says, am I the asshole for not including the entire family in a quilt
No, we're
I
saving
made
tea
for my
time for
mother?
later.
So, a little while ago, it was my mother's birthday.
I
like
can't
to
say
sew, so I thought it would be a
this
good
word.
idea to make her a quilt. I had the idea to make some of the squares
I can't
family photos. So I got some family
talk
pictures
about that
printed out on the
much,
fabric
obviously,
and added them into the quilt.
because,
It had me, my siblings, and my parents.
you know.
When I gave the quilt to my mother, she seemed happy at
But
first
yeah.
before she looked at all the photos. She looked disappointed, and when I questioned why, she said that she was upset I didn't have any photos, including the dog. Now, a
What?
bit of a side note. I've always had a phobia of dogs, which people never really got about me. We do have a dog
You have
in the
a
house.
phobia
but I
of
choose to
dogs?
not
Okay, I'm
acknowledge
already
it
not
or
on your
be around
side.
it. My mother knows very well my fear of them, but she treats this dog like it's her own son. She cooks it meals every day, gets it food at McDonald's, gives it many presents during Christmas, and practically
Why she do
every
that?
framed photo in the house is of the dog rather than anyone else. Essentially, she treats it less like it is a dog and more like it is a human child, even calling it her youngest son.
I mean,
Since I don't like the family dog, for reasons I won't dive into here, I chose to not
don't-
incorporate it into the quilt. Also, since I didn't have
She
any
clearly
photos
likes the
of it on my
dog,
phone
though.
anyways. And now my mother seems to really dislike the gift. I asked her if she doesn't like the quilt, and she just sighed and said it was cruel of me not to include her youngest in the quilt.
like,
I
they're
felt
both
bad.
being ridiculous.
Well, I'm moving away soon. I
Both
wanted
of
to
you
give
are
her a nice
ridiculous. What are you
handmade
talking
gift,
about?
Since I've never done that before. But she seems
Right,
so
this is getting left to the
disappointed
dog if you don't
I thought the photos
check
I
that
picked
shit.
out were nice.
Like, be best friends with the dog. Like, oh my god, I definitely want to take care of the dog when you die.
I even got the dog. My dad is telling me that it is perfectly fine that I didn't include the dog, and that the quilt is still very nice. But my brother seems angry with me, saying that I can't just leave out family members in a
That's so funny.
family-themed quilt. It's been around a week since that happened, and my mom has never once used or even touched the quilt. I looked and found that she put it under the bed.
Exactly, concepts
I
of
feel
tea.
sad, but also guilty. I feel like a major jerk, since I just wanted to make her happy. My mother has also been a bit more distant
When
with
she's
me
staring
as well.
daggers at me
So
right
I'm
now.
scared that our relationship will be affected by this. As you probably know, I'm a
I
huge
cannot wait for the
dog
next
fan.
stream when you guys take this outfit off of me, because holy shit, it is so uncomfortable.
An effort making a handmade quilt.
But I'm wearing it for you
their
guys.
cherished family members. Actual photos of her children growing up, and Mum just seemed to dismiss it all because it didn't include the dog. And now
So
after
funny.
this, she's deciding to emotionally punish OP by being distant and literally.
I think the
hiding
issue
photos
is
of
that
it.
OP
I'm not
clearly
sure if it's petty, but my
doesn't
first
give a
thought
fuck
is
about
I'd say
something
as
the
well,
mom
you know,
clearly
if you put
deeply
this
cares
time and
about.
effort into it, is to ask for that quilt
That's
back
the
and give
issue.
it to someone that gives it the respect and love it deserves. Even keep it
So
for
it probably
yourself.
just feels like an
If I
extra
was in
diss or
Mum's
something,
position
but she
and
needs to
someone
like
handed
chill.
me a handmade gift, which I know they crafted with their own hands, I would cherish this, no matter what it was. I think that's just such a lovely and thoughtful thing to do.
Like, she
The
should've just been
Jetta
like,
says, not the arsehole.
"Aw,
Take the quilt
you
back,
forgot the
made
dog."
with loving
And then
hands
like,
that she
"It's still
doesn't
great,"
appreciate
like-
and move out. OP was saying I was thinking of gifting it to my father, since he seemed to really love
Right.
the quilt. Pickle Toe says, good idea. He will appreciate it.
Okay.
Sweet Smile says, please do. A quilt is really hard work and it should be given to someone who respects and cherishes it. I worry your mum will let the dog tear it up. Rare Sugar says, I'm one of those people who considers her cats her fur kits, and I'll say this, you are absolutely not the arsehole. For fuck's sake, your mother is ridiculous to reject such a
Okay.
thoughtful, handmade gift.
I
just
think I'm
because
gonna
there's
try
no
to do
photo of a dog in
this.
it. Geesh, 5 minutes in the house and they probably have dog hair on it. So problem solved. The dog is included. So OP
We
did
gotta
update the
diagonal,
post
diagonal,
for
everything has to be
edits. They
diagonal.
said edits. I feel like I should clarify some
keep
things. Looking through the replies, I see most people saying that I am the arsehole. People seem to think that I deliberately left out the dog to upset my mother. And
Well,
that I should
didn't
be
you?
more mindful of her feelings since this is a gift for her. She's had the dog for around 6 years now, and has mentioned quite a few times that she values dog lives over human children's lives. She also mentioned that
Okay,
in the
never
case
mind,
of a
not
house
that
fire,
one.
she would save
Do
the dog
this.
first,
Oops,
then go
this.
back in to save her children.
This.
I've had this dog
This.
phobia since I was a kid, and it hasn't gotten better since the dog has been in the house. I'm not allowed to go to therapy either, so I was left with
You're not
no
allowed
resources
to go
help with this
therapy?
fear.
Huh?
It was especially bad since whenever I leave my room, my mother or brother would try to let the dog chase and bark at me. Since they think it's funny. They still do
Damn
that
it.
to this day. But back to the quilt situation.
Arr.
My mother has framed photos all around the house.
How
of
do
both
I do
her dogs.
this?
She has maybe 2 photos of her human children and around 12 photos of the dog. When making the quilt, yes, I did purposely exclude the dog. I did
So,
this partly
yeah, you
because I
did.
felt that there was already enough photos of the dog in the house, and partly because I wanted to give her
So,
something
I don't
to
know how to
remind
break
her
this to you,
of her
OP. I
human
don't think your mom
children.
likes you very much, and you don't seem to like her very much. It sounds like you just guys don't have a great relationship.
So before they even got
Unfortunate, but
No,
that just kind
I
of
hate
seems
that
like.
I have to even say this. I don't harm dogs or wish harm upon dogs like some of you seem to think. Edit 2. Shortly after I woke up this morning, I went to try and grab the quilt from under the bed in order to take some photos of it, but I couldn't find it. I asked my dad if he knew where it was, but he was just as clueless as me. We searched a lot of the house but couldn't find it. I'll update again if I find out what happened to it. Edit 3.
It was a bird.
I went outside
Aww.
and checked the trash bin.
Cute.
I found the quilt there slightly
Is it
hidden under
really?
some other trash. I
Nice.
took it out from the
Happy
trash and
birthday,
tried to
Dick Van
clean it up
Dyke.
as best as I could. It's now hidden in my room. I'm not really sure what to do with it now. This is absolutely messed up. You know, the quilt in itself, finding it in the trash.
Okay.
You know, again,
Look at
a
this.
handmade gift that was made with love that this mother doesn't deserve, by the way. That's got to be heartbreaking, and I'm glad that you did fish it out and that you're going to keep it for yourself. But also looking back over those edits of having your mum and brother, you know, terrorize you by having these dogs chase you and mock your phobia, deny you any kind of therapy. It's just cruel and abusive behavior. Like on the second paragraph, it said that she mentioned in case of a house fire, she would save the dog first.
How do I
did that
make this? I
conversation
want them to
even come
be-
up? It's just like such a shit thing to say. Just like purposely hurtful. Like
I want them
almost
to be
taking pleasure
covering the
in
whole
hurting your own
thing.
kids. It's just madness. But Wordweller says your mother loves the dog more than she loves you. She and your brother used the dog to torment you. Something is wrong with those people. Maybe you should have realized it a while ago. Maybe that realization would have led you to make a quilt based on photos of the dog. That doesn't make you a jerk. It probably means you wanted to connect with your mother despite her problems. I love my dog. I love most dogs obsessively. I would save my children from a fire before I would save any dog I've ever had.
I just
But
feel like
now,
it doesn't have
I'm
to be an
gonna turn this
either-or
one to you
situation,
guys.
but
What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now, our next story is titled, Am I the arsehole for walking out of my mum's house after I forced my autistic son to eat food he hates? I'm a single dad, 32 male, to my 17-year-old son, Ronnie. He's autistic and has some pretty specific food sensitivities. It's not just that he doesn't like certain foods. Some textures are genuinely
How do I make
overwhelming for
this?
him.
I
Eggplant,
hate
asparagus,
roofs
apples,
in The
and Brussels
Sims,
sprouts
bro.
are on his list of foods he just can't handle, and I've always respected that. My mum, on the other hand, doesn't. She's never really taken the time to understand Ronnie's needs and insists that he's just being picky or difficult. I've tried to explain it to her many times, but she doesn't seem to take it seriously. Recently, she invited us over for dinner. She said it would be a nice family evening, and I figured we'd give it a shot. When we got there, I immediately noticed that most of the dishes she prepared were things Ronnie struggles with. It felt intentional, like she was trying to prove a point. Ronnie was visibly uncomfortable, but tried to stay polite. I could tell he was trying his best to handle the situation, but eventually it became too much for him. He started tugging at his hair, something he does when he's overwhelmed. Instead of showing any understanding or compassion, my mum became upset with him for it. At that point, I decided enough was enough. I told her we were leaving and took Ronnie home. He was really upset and told me how embarrassed and humiliated he felt. It broke my heart.
I guess I could do
Since then,
this.
my mum has been flooding my phone with angry messages,
That's as close as I can
accusing
do.
Ronnie of being ungrateful and me of spoiling him. She's also posted about the situation on Facebook, calling us both disrespectful and making it seem like she was just trying to help.
Girl, no you
Some
weren't.
family members think I should apologize to smooth things over, but I honestly don't see why I should.
No, they can shut
I feel
up.
like I did
That's
the
so
right
weird
thing
that
by
she did
putting
that.
Ronnie first, but with all the
It's like the
backlash, I'm
alcohol
starting
thing.
to second guess myself. Am I
Like,
the
what is the
arsehole?
reason?
Absolutely not the arsehole in this situation, and good for you for protecting your son instead of forcing him to endure abuse for the sake of family harmony.
I can't.
And that's exactly what it
I
is.
can't.
And I think that any family members who's telling you to apologize, well,
What the
first,
fuck?
they're
I
basically
hate this
saying that
roof.
your son's
I hate
dignity
doing
and
roofs
mental
in
health
general.
matter less than your mum's ego.
Roofs,
But
roofs.
I wonder if they've been told
Which way do
the
you
full
say it?
truth about this situation. We see it time and time again. You know, the mum's probably gone to them, told them some twisted side of the story to get them on her side. Because you'd think and you'd hope that anyone hearing this would go, what the fuck is that mum doing? But not sure it's funny, says not the arsehole, but it doesn't seem like your mother has any respect for you as a fellow parent. I'll start putting up your boundaries where you can. Another commenter says, never ever second guess or apologize for putting your child's needs first. Not to your mum, and certainly not drama on family members on Facebook. Not the arsehole, and your mum can go and suck a butt. Another commenter says,
Lol.
as a mum to 3 ADHD kids and someone who has their own texture issues, to hell with your mum. You are absolutely not the arsehole. You are your child's advocate. I praise you for removing your son from that situation. Your mum was being a bully and very disrespectful. Tell others to kiss your ass. You are the only one owed an apology.
I'm not sure I'm gonna deal with that situation.
Emotion who says, I've replied to one of her Facebook comments so everyone can see. Mum, I don't know why you seem to continually refuse my son's autism, but it's real whether you like it or not. Unfortunately, food issues are a very real part of that for him. You purposely chose foods that you knew he has issues with. That was not helpful in any way, and only succeeded in causing my son embarrassment and shame. So until you
guess
bring
this
yourself
works.
to learn more about his medical condition, we have to limit our meals with you. I can provide information
I mean,
links for
I
you
feel like
if you're
that's a good
interested
thing
in
to
learning
say.
about how to actually help.
That works.
Well, this may feel harsh to you. As a parent, I must put my son's well-being first, and I will not apologize for that.
Good.
So OP came in with her
What?
update and said, hey everyone, first I want to address a few comments I've seen on my original
Are you
post.
joking?
Some of
Okay.
you were confused about this account and thought it didn't fit me. That's because it isn't mine. It belongs to my niece. She barely uses Reddit and kindly let me use it since I'm not great with tech and didn't feel like setting up my own account just to share this. I didn't think this would get so much attention. I also saw some comments accusing me of enabling Ronnie's pickiness, or saying I'm letting him eat an unhealthy diet.
Who cares if people are picky with their food? I don't understand why everyone gives a fuck if what other people eat.
Has specific sensory
So annoying.
sensitivities like many autistic people do. Certain foods like eggplant, asparagus, and Brussels sprouts don't sit right with him because of their textures or taste. Not
That's
because he's
valid.
picky. Forcing him to eat things that overwhelm him isn't helpful or healthy, and I always respect his boundaries when it comes to food. My mom is still slandering me on Facebook,
Good night.
calling me ungrateful and claiming I'm ruining Ronnie by not letting her fix him.
Have a good
She's been
sleep.
spreading misinformation about autism and accusing me of alienating her from Ronnie.
Oh?
It's exhausting, but I've been ignoring her as much as I can
What
and
the
focusing
hell?
on Ronnie's well-being. I've decided to channel my frustration into a project, a revenge dinner. It's petty, sure. but after
Revenge
watching the Ronnie
dinner.
through, I think it's a fitting way to make my
That's
point.
funny.
I'm planning a meal with all the food she absolutely despises. Liver, black licorice, pickled herring, and
Ew.
mushroom-heavy casserole. She can't stand mushrooms. Of course, I won't force her to eat anything. I'm not her. But I think the message will be clear. Respect other people's boundaries, especially when it comes to food. If she doesn't show up, well, that's fine too. It'd just be a fun dinner for me. Thank you to everyone who's been supportive. Ronnie is doing much better now that he's in a calmer environment, and I'm doing my best to keep things peaceful for
I
him.
mean, shit, good for
Let
you.
all know how the dinner goes. And I certainly look out for that revenge dinner update.
Okay,
But I personally don't think it's going to go well if the mother's quite continually going to Facebook to talk shit about OP. I can't see that's someone who's going to change her ways anytime soon.
Okay, that works,
What
actually.
do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments
Okay.
below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit. I saw this title and I was like, what? It's from
I did it.
Professional3176. And
Sorta.
it says, am I the arsehole for not selling my car, even though my fiance refuses to sit in the front seat? Because my ex sat there.
Oh.
Hi everyone, I'm 27 male,
Buddy.
engaged to my fiance, 26 female. And while we're preparing for our wedding, something recently came up that's left me confused and conflicted. I want to know if I'm in the wrong here or if her reaction is unreasonable. Here's the issue. My fiance refuses to sit in the front seat of my car because my ex used to sit there. She says it makes her uncomfortable and feels like
Stop.
she's taking what someone else's. Instead, she insists on sitting in the back seat whenever we go somewhere.
Stop it.
Which honestly feels strange to me. Like I'm her chauffeur.
That
I
is so
offered to sell
funny.
the car if it truly bothers her, but she told me not to because it would feel like she's forcing me to
Oh my
do
God.
something. However, she still won't sit in the front seat and avoids interacting with anything related to my past relationships.
That is so funny.
This is part of a bigger pattern.
Jesus
She's
Christ.
mentioned multiple times that she doesn't want to do things I've done with my ex, like cuddling on the couch during a movie or visiting places I've been before. I've tried to be understanding of her feelings, but I'm starting to feel like I'm being held responsible for my past, which I can't change. It's
Bruh.
also confusing because she keeps in touch with her own ex, occasionally
What?
texting or calling him, which I have no issue with as I trust her.
What the hell?
Whenever these situations come up, she tends to withdraw emotionally, avoiding physical affection, not saying goodnight or being distant. While I love her and want to work through this, I'm starting to feel like I'm walking on eggshells around her emotions, especially when they're tied to things I can't control, like my past. Now for me, the car seat in itself was just wild, but then it goes into other things as well. I mean, where does this end? Every restaurant, every vacation spot, every activity you've ever done with someone else, you can't do. You gave a couple of examples of cuddling on the couch during a movie or visiting places you've been before. But how about just a normal cuddle, a normal kiss on the lips? Sex potentially. Where does this end? I'd be putting that marriage
That
on
would-
hold until that is solved with either some kind of therapy or something along those lines. She doesn't sound mature enough for it. It just comes across as controlling behavior that's just sort of masking her own insecurities. She won't let you sell the car, but punishes you for keeping it. Gives you all this shit about your ex, yet she's in contact with her own ex.
That's
And you just
so
can't keep
weird.
going, continuing with your relationship, or you're feeling constantly guilty about your past. It's not right, and it's not acceptable. A captain was taken says she is crazy. Cancel the marriage and run while you can. Will she have the same issue while having sex, knowing you and your ex were intimate? Does it stay true for sitting on the car and on you? Terry Sash says, not the arsehole. This is controlling behavior.
So weird.
Stop playing her games. If she won't sit next to you in the front of the car, then don't drive her anymore. Ultimately, this relationship isn't going to work out. It'd be messier and more expensive to get a divorce than to choose not to marry this woman in the first place. Even if you don't want to end the relationship, you should put wedding plans on hold and get couples counseling. Tasty answer says not the arsehole, but you've been way too understanding, OP. Her reasoning doesn't make any sense. She's fine kissing you, having sex with you.
She's
which are
got
both
to
things
go.
You most likely did with
She
your
just
ex.
wants you to do
But she
get a new
draws the
car.
line at cuddling and sitting in the front car. What the fuck? To me, it looks like she's using your ex as an excuse to not do things she doesn't want to. She's making you feel guilty for having a very normal past.
So
which
weird.
sounds even more ridiculous, given the fact that it's not her first relationship either, if she has exes. So you're not allowed to have exes, but she
I don't
can
really
talk with
want
hers.
anything for
This
Christmas.
is very unhealthy
Just
and
some
toxic. You need to wake
free
up
time
and put
would be
an end
nice.
to this nonsense. Opie gave a little update in the comments and said thank you everyone for taking the time to share your stories, perspectives and support on my post. Reading through the thousands of responses has been an eye-opening experience. I've seen how many of you have dealt with similar situations or have insightful advice, and I'm truly grateful for your honesty and compassion. After reflecting on everything you shared and my own feelings, I've made the decision to end my
Christmassy
engagement.
stairs.
This relationship has made me realize that I deserve happiness,
shit.
trust, and emotional security. Things I've been struggling to find lately. I care deeply about my fiance, but I can't keep walking on eggshells or feeling punished for things I can't change about my past. Life is too short to live in fear of being myself. Your stories about finding happiness after letting go of unhealthy relationships has given me hope that I can do the same. This is definitely not an easy decision, but I know it's the right one for my future. Thank you all again for your support and for reminding me that it's okay to prioritize my own well-being. Wishing everyone happiness and peace in your own journeys. But now, I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know
That's
your
unhinged,
thoughts down
is what I make
in the
of it.
comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories. Your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so, so much. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
That one looks nice. And I kind of think I should do white bricks. Don't worry, I'll put guardrails. Let's see. What else are we going to watch? Also, I will be streaming until 6, so like an hour and 15 minutes is what we've got left for this. Because I need to give myself, well, you know what, actually, there's not much reason to take a break in between because I'm kind of just like wearing this outfit. $6:30. Yeah. True, I could just start Fansly early. This is very true. We'll check back in at 6 o'clock and see how we're feeling. I'm seeing if there's something else we can watch. You know, listen to. Bruh. My body hurts. It has been such a long week. Oh my god. Like, hi buddy, I love you. Ooh, okay. I have an iceberg. I found an iceberg, chat. We have an iceberg. And it's about the right time, so that's perfect. Okay.
I went through a bunch of TV shows that were canceled before one episode and put them all into an iceberg chart with the most commonly known ones at the top, and the farther down we go on the iceberg, the more obscure and strange things get. Let's dive in. This was the most expensive poop in TV
Iceberg.
history. NBC created the
Let's
ultimate
go.
shit show, Ultimate Slip and Slide, a reality competition adapted from the classic backyard water slide, which had contestants compete in challenges on gigantic, slippery slides.
The elf
The
video
series
was very
primed for an
strenuous.
important
Also just taking
2021
photos in this was very
Olympics time slot,
hard.
And production was almost wrapped when hold on to your butts, there's a Giardia outbreak.
It's gonna
Up
be
to
fun.
40 crew members fell
Fun to film
violently
in.
ill with reports of awful explosive diarrhea that left people collapsing
Oh.
on set and being forced to run into porta potties. Production was shut down after they had been shooting for 7 weeks and only had 5 days left. I'll use this water slide diagram here to represent how close they were to finishing when they slid into diarrhea disaster. Universal said they would figure out how to finish production, but a lot of the original crew didn't want to return, blaming production for not ensuring that the water on set was clean. If you're aiming to make a real-life water park, how are you surprised that someone pooped in the pool? That is water park tradition, baby. I say own it, maybe even double down on it, include this in the marketing. It'll add to the stakes of the show. Even crazier, one of the contestants went on Reddit to spill the tea and said the show was unpaid and they collected different interview outfits from us that were never returned after the show was canceled. So they made everybody poop themselves and stole their clothes. They continued by saying, I was not affected by Giardia, but I remember being freaked out by the set food after I found a little worm in my fruit cup. No clips or photos of the show have been made available to the public, and in the end, Ultimate Slip and Slide was the ultimate test of sphincter control, only to be dumped by NBC at an $18 million loss. 2014 was an interesting year for AMC, with Breaking Bad ending in 2013 and Mad Men set to wrap up in 2015. The network was looking for a new identity. Do they hope to hit on another pair of generational scripted series, or go in a new direction? What better show for their flagship dramas to pass the torch to than Celebrity Bowling? They had already tested the waters of unscripted shows with Comic Book Men and arm wrestling reality show Game of Arms, and the original Celebrity Bowling series ran for 8 seasons.
The Disney editing is going.
So why not try a revival?
I'm just at the tedious part of adding the like section labels
All-Star Celebrity Bowling was hosted by Chris
and the transitions, but I'm
also
almost
happened to
done.
be incredible at bowling. His dad was Hall of Fame bowler Billy the Magician Hardwick, so he basically was born to host this show. Hardwick took full advantage of the opportunity to absolutely dunk on celebrity teams like Team Conan, Team Breaking Bad, and WWE Superstars. Around 20 episodes were ready to roll for TV, but just 5 months after the show was announced, AMC's competitor USA Network announced a pivot away from half-hour scripted comedies, and that same day, AMC announced that they'd be pulling away from unscripted programming. Sounds like a you stay in that lane, we'll stay in this lane kind of deal. So they chose to cancel several of their unscripted programs, including All-Star Celebrity Bowling, which hadn't even made it to air yet. It was released on the internet instead, and many episodes can be found on YouTube today.
Okay.
The end of this show was only the beginning of its run. Ben Affleck and Matt Damon created The Runner in 2001 as a nationwide manhunt reality show. One runner would compete for up to $1 million by completing a series of cross-country missions, all while being pursued by 3 agents attempting to capture them. The Runner was pretty ahead of its time, allowing potential contestants to apply online to either be runners or agents, and viewers at home could win a share of the cash prize by tracking the runner's location online and sharing clues. lose. ABC picked up the series, and it was set to air in late 2001. But after the September 11th attacks, the network felt it was too soon for America to go along with the concept of a fictional fugitive being captured. The series was canceled before it ever aired, but Affleck and Damon never gave up on the idea. 15 years later, the runner would find a home on Verizon's mobile streaming service, Go90. Hosted by Matt Pat, the show kicked off in July 2016 with 3 episodes airing live every day for a month. The show was ambitious in scale alone, but add in the live television aspect and production issues were doomed to happen. The tight editing schedule forced on-location film crews to occasionally resort to filming on their phones. The runner was meant to remain faceless and nameless so that the chase teams couldn't use their identity to find them, but on day 11, the runner's cover was blown when their face accidentally appeared unblurred for a frame in one episode. The first 2 runners were caught in the first 16 days, and on the final day, the last runner was captured by mistake live on the first episode of the 3-part finale. So the plan for the rest of the finale had to be scrapped and improvised in real time. Those last 2 parts of the finale are now completely lost, and the files were probably tossed after Go90 closed down in 2018. There's been a wave of millennial kid show revivals like Fuller House, iCarly, Raven's Home. One that almost joined that list was Lizzie McGuire. The original Disney show starring Hilary Duff as a middle school girl navigating life as a teenager produced 75 episodes and a feature film.
Oh, yeah, I remember they were going to redo that.
In 2018, Hilary Duff hinted at conversations about a revival, and the following year, Disney said a Lizzie McGuire revival is officially going down. All the stars have lines. The original creator, Terry Minsky, back as showrunner, Hilary Duff back in the lead role as Lizzie, navigating life now as a 30-year-old. Their plan was for the sequel series to dive into
I hate sequel series though. I'm so sorry. They're bad. She was going to move back to LA. She was going to reconnect with old friends and her animated alter ego. And in episode 3, she was going to sleep with her childhood crush. That was when Disney said, do you know where you are right now? This is the Disney Channel. We don't do sex here. Minsky and Duff argued that Lizzie is a grown-up now, and her sexual escapades should be included not
in the show.
Happen.
Disney said, la la la, my virgin ears can't hear you. So Minsky left the show, and production went into an indefinite hiatus. Hilary Duff tried to reason with Disney, posting on social media her suggestion of moving the series to Hulu so they could work without a PG rating. It was no dice for Disney, and
that was never going to happen.
Exactly 2 years after talks about the revival began, Duff announced that Lizzie McGuire was officially canceled.
That explains
An Americanized IT crowd was an error that NBC could not fix. When new NBC chief Ben Silverman took the reins of the network, he found his bread and butter developing adaptations of British comedy series, especially after The Office became a massive hit. Next on the list was going to be remaking the cult classic The IT Crowd for American audiences. The British sitcom followed IT department staff members with zero social skills and their manager with zero tech skills. For the American version, Richard Ayoade would reprise his role as Moss alongside Joel McHale and Jessica St. Clair. Although his name was attached as an executive producer, the original creator of the show, Graham Linehan, said he was not involved with the US version in any way and only found out about it on the internet. NBC was quick to hype the show, even though only the pilot had been filmed and a couple scripts were written. But when Silverman finally watched the pilot, he did not like what he saw, and NBC decided not to move forward. Then in 2014, NBC gave it another go, bringing on Scrubs creator Bill Lawrence this time to remake the IT Crowd. That one also did not pan out. Take 3, NBC confirmed another try.
Stop trying to remake it. Oh my god.
In 2018, this time with Linehan actually involved. But as of 2014, the American IT Crowd remains error 404, not found. Hot take, I think the most canceled person of all time is Roseanne Barr. In 1997, her number one sitcom was canceled. In 2000, her daytime talk show was canceled. And by 2003, Roseanne was ready for a major comeback, willing to make any kind of show to get back in the limelight. So she worked out a deal with ABC Family to create her own white trash cooking show called Domestic Goddess. And to make things more complicated, while creating this show, they'd simultaneously film another show about the making of that show. The companion reality series, The Real Roseanne Show, documented the chaotic process of her and her family trying to make Domestic Goddess. The whole time she has a bad attitude, and her producers have bad ideas.
Amazing.
Like stealing from vendors at a farmer's market as a joke. She hired an executive producer who saw the cooking show being, and I swear to God this is a direct quote, about war and child abuse and racism and stuff like that. I really have no idea what he meant by things. And Roseanne is obsessed with firing.
What?
But what did the cooking show in was Roseanne needing an emergency hysterectomy. This
Oh.
unexpected surgery threw their whole
Damn,
schedule
that
out of
fucking
whack,
sucks.
leaving reshoots impossible before the premiere date, and Roseanne declared the show unfit for broadcast. With that, Domestic Goddess was canceled before one episode aired, and The Real Roseanne Show, which just had its 2-episode premiere night, was canceled the next day too, giving Roseanne Barr the honor of having 2 TV shows get canceled in 2 days. And with
Jesus
that,
Christ.
her comeback was canceled too. Until 2018, that is, when her classic sitcom Roseanne was revived, only for her to then reveal herself to be a racist conspiracy theorist on Twitter and get that show canceled
What?
too. Then in 2022, she released
What
a
the
new
hell,
Fox Nation comedy
ma'am?
special titled "Cancel This." Roseanne, they probably did.
They
Can a
probably
sumo wrestler
did.
win a tug of war against an orangutan? In 2003,
What?
Fox's Man vs. Beast gave us a real deal animal
Bro,
versus
what
human
is
Olympics.
going on?
When reality TV producer Mike Darnell was first pitched the idea, he said, "That's so wrong, we have to do it." And what they created was as surreal as it sounds. 44 little people in a plane pulling contest with an elephant, a gold medal sprinter running a 100-meter race against a giraffe and zebra, champion hot dog eater Kobayashi duking it out with a Kodiak bear, a sumo wrestler in a tug of war with an orangutan, and a U.S. Navy SEAL racing through an obstacle course against a chimpanzee. The SEAL won and called his opponent a wannabe human. Yeah, dunk on that chimp, dude. One YouTube commenter wrote, "Something tells me this type of TV show wouldn't be allowed today." Buddy, it was barely allowed 20 years ago. In fact, the UK saw this TV special and
Bro.
said, "We gotta try this out too." They filmed 6 episodes of their version of Man
Why?
vs. Beast, complete with new matchups, like a human facing
Just
an
stop.
alligator in a staring contest. But more than a dozen animal rights groups were quick to condemn the series, saying
No
it will
shit.
promote the captivity and exploitation of animals in the name of entertainment. Although
Yeah.
ITV did shelve the series, they claimed it had nothing to do with backlash and was due to a scheduling error and that they'd air it
Sure.
later. That day would never come. In Nickelodeon's first few years, the channel was built on reruns from old kids' shows. By 1988, they were ready to start creating their own originals. Who better to hire for the task than Ralph Bakshi, a renowned filmmaker behind animated features like Wizards, The Lord of the Rings, and the first X-rated animated film, Fritz the Cat. Bakshi pitched an idea he'd been sitting on since high school about a magical city where thrown-out toys come to life, which would later become the zany urban world of Tattertown. Nickelodeon was all in on Bakshi's project and greenlit 39 episodes. But before Tattertown's grand opening, Bakshi got into some hot water when another show of his, Mighty Mouse: The New Adventures, was accused of depicting a character snorting cocaine. Bakshi denied it, but the controversy spooked Nickelodeon and they abandoned Tattertown before its premiere.
Lol.
Nickelodeon would end up repurposing the Tattertown pilot into a Christmas special, Christmas in Tattertown, which aired during the holidays for a few years and remains the only episode available to the public. Ralph supposedly
Interesting.
mentioned in a 2007 interview on his website that he plans to release all 39 episodes on DVD, but I couldn't track down this interview and the DVD release has still yet to happen. Maybe one day we'll find Tattertown hidden somewhere within Tattertown itself. One thing I'm ready to cancel in my
Wow.
life is ordering takeout all the time, man. It's overpriced, it takes forever, and when it finally gets here, the food's usually cold. Now, I'm all about Factor, the sponsor of today's video. With Factor, I get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to my door. It's way more affordable,
You know
and I'm
what,
not.
since we're
It just
not
puts
doing
it
it, what's
between
your
the link
code?
below and use
Alright.
code 50 Engelman to get 50%
50
off
Engelman.
and free
There you go.
shipping
There's
on your
the
first
code.
Factor box. That's code 50 Engelman at factor75.com to get 50% off and free shipping
I
on
know,
your
this
first
can
box.
drive me crazy.
This secret plan almost outsmarted a dictatorship. In the 1960s, Brazilian playwright Dias Gomes created a political satire stage play called Hero's Cradle. But before its premiere,
read
the
this
military
instead.
dictatorship ruling Brazil at the time shut his show down. It was a pretty regular thing for works of art the regime deemed immoral. But Gomez wasn't about to let his story go quietly, so he developed a plan. He would secretly repackage his banned play into a telenovela with just enough minor
That's
tweaks
funny.
that it would hopefully go unnoticed by the federal censorship. The story revolved around a hero, Roque Santero, who had supposedly died in a fight. His legend brought the local community lots of tourism, and it was a huge boon for the
There.
economy. But as it turns out, just when the town was making a fortune off of his myth, Roque reappears, very much not dead. Chaos ensues involving political drama, love triangles, werewolves, soap opera gold. With 30 episodes filmed, 20 more written, and promotional
Not the
material
werewolves.
already everywhere, the show was ready to become Brazil's next TV sensation. Gomez's plan had worked, They were just hours from the premiere, and it was time to celebrate. In a private phone call, he bragged about outsmarting the military dictatorship, calling the telenovela his dirty little secret to get his previously banned play on air, laughing about how the federal censorship were too stupid they wouldn't notice. Little did he know his phone had been wiretapped. The federal censorship heard everything, and just hours before the show was set to air, Roque Santiro was banned from television. The cancellation sparked protests from dozens of artists who even wrote a letter to the then president to try and save the show, but no can do on account of materials containing offenses to morals, order and good customs, as well as mockery of the church. Gomez's plan was foiled, but only for about 10 years, because in 1985, Brazil's New Republic permitted the show to air. They recast a few characters, and it ran for over 200 episodes, with the finale being watched by basically every single person in the country and becoming arguably the most successful TV show in Brazilian history. Pretty crazy how this story of a hero's death, then epic return, ended up mimicking the fate of the show itself, dying only to make an even more triumphant comeback. The Garbage Pail Kids animated series was based on the popular trading cards, which had already caused a stir in the 80s by parodying the popular Cabbage Patch Kids dolls with grotesque, gross-out characters. It had sold over 1 billion cards, but despite its popularity, Garbage Pail Kids were getting banned left and right. Banned from schools, banned from Mexico, banned from Australia.
Banned from Mexico.
About to get banned from TV too. They got a sign of things to come when a live-action Garbage Pail Kids feature film flopped real hard in the box office, and it's now considered one of the worst movies of all time. Later on in 1987, CBS was gearing up to launch the Garbage Pail Kids cartoon, but they were about to learn just how angry parents could get. The president of Action for Children's Television said it was outrageous to use handicapping conditions for humor in children's programming. Founding member of the National Coalition of Television Violence and convicted sex offender Thomas Radecki called the show sadistic. And it was Reverend Donald Wildman from the Christian Leaders for Responsible Television who went straight for the jugular, the show's advertisers. According to him, pressuring advertisers to pull their support was a huge factor in CBS's last-minute decision to cancel the show. Around 30% of CBS affiliates protested airing the show too, some flat-out refused to add a chimney even before the cancellation was announced. Almost 20 years later, all 13 episodes of the Garbage Pail Kids series were released on DVD. The opening of the first episode has a news anchor complaining about how gross the show is, saying how shocked she is that they let it air on TV. A self-fulfilling prophecy. As of today, a new Garbage Pail Kids animated series has been in development since 2021 with HBO Max and filmmaker David Gordon Green. Seriously Dude, I'm Gay had 2 straight men competing to see who could convincingly live as a gay man. They had to convince friends and family of their newfound sexual orientation, and at the end of the week, a panel judged them with the most convincing gay man winning $50,000. The reality show was set to premiere on Fox in June 2004 with a 2-hour special. But before it aired, Fox reached out to the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation to double check that their new show wouldn't negatively impact the LGBT community, and it's a good thing. Obviously, after a private screening of the first episode, GLAAD's entertainment media director said it wasn't that we could suggest adjustments, the whole thing was problematic. Describing it as an exercise in systemic humiliation. Within just hours after this meeting, Fox pulled the plug on the show. But many of the people who worked on the show were LGBT themselves and believed the show could have done some good to address homophobia in the country. One contestant even said the experience helped him realize that there is no way to act gay, you are just your normal self. Drag queen Jackie B, who worked as a man
I think that point would have gone over most people's head.
Obviously poking fun at the straight dudes, but also seemed to knock the show's quality, adding, if any good can come from this, it is that we're getting to the point where maybe gay and shocking isn't good enough. First, you've got to be good. Let me try to play both sides for a sec. I think I get what the folks working on the show are saying.
I get what they're going for, it's just, I don't think that's gonna in practice happen like you think it will.
But the fact that the people behind the show kept choosing the show's defense as the whole thing is a joke, is that not the same defense that bullies use to minimize their prejudice? GLAAD was concerned if people view it in poor taste, this could put gay individuals in harm's way. This wasn't GLAAD censoring
definitely
Fox.
What would happen.
They praised Fox for consulting them and listening to what they had to say. So if you're angry about GLAAD's hypervigilance to protect the gay community, consider where America was at in 2004 and maybe direct your anger at what they were trying to protect gay people from. In an alternate universe somewhere out there, Jersey Shore was canceled before any episodes aired, and instead, the world would have had Bridge and Tunnel, which the LA Times calls the greatest show you've never seen. Bridge and Tunnel followed two Staten Island sisters, Brianna and Gabriella. Brianna originally applied to put her boyfriend on VH1's Tool Academy. The casting director saw potential and passed her along to an MTV producer who wanted to make a show about Brianna and her circle of friends and family. 12 episodes were filmed of working class kids struggling to get off Staten Island and to make it in Manhattan. When it was sold to MTV, Brianna got the call while at work that you can quit your job. But hold your horses there, because we got a situation.
Oh no.
We got the situation. Both Jersey Shore and Bridge and Tunnel were bought by MTV and set to air around the same time. Since the shows were pretty similar, MTV decided to air the lower budget Jersey Shore first and follow it up with Bridge and Tunnel later in the year. We all know what happens next. Jersey Shore's surprise popularity hits the stratosphere. MTV realizes they've captured lightning in a bottle. They double down on more of that Guido hijinks and tell Bridge and Tunnel that the cabs are here. Cabs are here! Cabs are here! Cabs are here! According to a Village Voice article, Gabriella had a feeling their show would never air after a psychic told her so. I was rattled by this incredibly brief mention with no follow-up, so I reached out to Gabriella and said, I gotta know more about this psychic thing. She told me she doesn't remember, but it's something she would say, and she said she did see a psychic that said they would be famous but never take it all the way, and that this was before the show even was a thing. Jersey Shore would become the pop culture phenomenon that it was, with Snooki making $100 grand an episode, and while Bridge and Tunnel never would air, the cast was paid a couple grand for each of their 12 unaired episodes. Today, the sisters operate a real estate business, and to those who know, they are considered the OG JWoww and Snooki.
That's funny.
Jay Williams is the father of 34 kids with 17 different women. He set out to rebuild his life and relationships, turning to life coach Iyanla Van Zandt on her show Iyanla Fix My Life on the Oprah Winfrey Network. Jay and his family became
Thank you, Freddie! Sorry, I was so
his mega fix spanned
distraught by that
follow-up reunion episodes. Iyanla took on the monumental task of forcing Jay to confront his choices head on. It gets heavy, digging into the root causes of Jay's behavior, growing up with his own experiences of deep abandonment. By now, many of Jay's kids are old enough to decide if they want a relationship with him at all. One mother even shared on the show that she had no idea Jay had other children until Iyanla's team called her for the series. Iyanla didn't hold back, telling Jay that she would blow up his life so he could rebuild these relationships with his kids on their own terms. It's clearly an emotional experience for everyone. It's also really funny at times, but never at the expense of the women or the kids. It's just because Iyanla herself is hilarious. Iyanla loves using dolls to visualize how many kids Jay has.
Excuse me, that's your baby. You can't put that baby down. No booty calls. You gotta write that down. You let a penis penetrate your friendship. Penis!
Even with 6 episodes dedicated to the story, the world wanted more, and OWN
penis
series to follow Jay on
girl
reconciliation
stop
with his children and their mothers. But with no clear explanation, OWN decided not to air the series, and it remains a mystery what those 6 new episodes would have revealed. Survivor redefined reality TV. But Mark Burnett's first scripted sitcom didn't survive long enough to air. Commando Nanny was based on the real-life experience of reality TV producer Mark Burnett as a British ex-commando who, after struggling to find work in LA, charms his way into a nanny gig. Burnett is a reality TV pioneer. He's produced Shark Tank, The Apprentice, and most importantly, he has blessed us all with the greatest game ever made, Survivor. I'm literally watching Survivor right now as I write this. Hey, no peeking. In 2004, Time even named Burnett one of the most influential people in the world, and the WB wanted some of that sweet reality TV gold. So they asked Burnett to create a reality show for them, and he said, hey, I have an even better idea. Commando Nanny. The WB said, sure, let's do that, but we still want to circle back to that hit reality show idea afterwards, and the deal was made. But no military training could prepare anyone for the production nightmares that followed. Commando Nanny had a lot of first-timers on board. It was Burnett's first scripted series, and former pop star Rachel Sweet was making her show-running debut. Most of the cast, aside from veteran actor Gerald McRaney, were also new to TV. The problems started immediately after the pilot was filmed. First, they had to recast the actress playing the wife. Then the lead actor broke his foot, which delayed production and forced them to recast cast the role. Then Gerald McRaney had to have lung surgery, delaying
He's also
production
in
again. Then
Medium.
Rachel Sweet left as showrunner after it honestly didn't seem like she wanted to be there in the first place. Commando Nanny almost had
Stop.
more medevacs in 2 unaired episodes than Survivor has in 47 seasons.
How?
At this point, the WB just had to cancel the whole thing, and that hit reality show they wanted after never happened either. Burnett is still a TV legend, though, and he should put me on Survivor. I'm just saying. Captain America was ready for action to be the next Marvel superhero to have their own cartoon series in the 90s. Developed by Saban for Fox Kids, the show would reveal that Steve Rogers was not Captain America's secret identity. Rogers was a cover provided by the Army, with his real name being Tommy Tompkins. Set in Europe during World War II, Cap would be facing off against the Red Skull.
Yeah, cool idea. Just like
nondescript
retcon.
enemy forces. Wikipedia explains
the
that
lore.
the show was pulled due to conflicts about whether mentions of Nazis as the hero's rivals were appropriate and Marvel's bankruptcy. It's true that in 1996, Marvel filed for bankruptcy after years of declining comic book and trading card sales before soaring to new record heights with the development
Should've
of Marvel
stayed that
Studios
way.
years later.
Ugh.
But that first
Hate
reason
Marvel.
about Nazis seems untrue. One of the writers for the animated series, Steve Englehart, provided details on his website. In true TV fashion, the enemy forces were not going to be called Nazis. Episode 7 would have the Red Skull destroying Stonehenge to rebuild it as a giant swastika. That's when I heard that we weren't doing swastikas either. So the no Nazis rule sounds like it was understood well before the show's cancellation. Englehart makes it pretty clear Marvel's monetary troubles got the series canceled. Mr. Dugan was a sitcom about a black former professional football star who was now a first-year congressman. It was originally titled Onward and Upward, with John Amos in the lead role, who left after filming the pilot because he wasn't happy with the storylines and comedic tone. The creators pivoted, recasting the role with a white actor, Peter Boyle. That's when the Hollywood branch of the NAACP reached out, encouraging them to keep Mr. Dugan as a black character, leading them to cast Clavin Little. Now that all that was ironed out, there was one more hurdle for Mr. Dugan. A week before the show's premiere, half of the Congressional Black Caucus were given a private viewing of the show. Let's see what they thought about
How bad
it.
was
One
it?
representative said it was an abomination
Oh,
and
no.
stank before storming out of the room. For Representative William Gray III, the show felt extra personal. Like Mr. Dugan, Gray was also a black congressman representing Philadelphia with a background in football. He worried that depicting a black congressman as a silly, incompetent man ruled by his staff would be disastrous. The president of the production company said they already had concerns about the show's direction, and the caucus's response confirmed their fears, so the show was cut from CBS's lineup. Clavin Little compared the issue to a basketball game. The Black Caucus is one team, the production company is another, and I'm the ball. He believed Mr. Dugan had the potential to bring serious issues to the screen through the vehicle of comedy, and that the character could have become the strongest black comedy character on television. Later that year, producer Norman Lear repurposed the concept of Mr. Dugan into another show, with a former professional football star becoming president of a fictional university. Hanging In would make it to air, but only last 4 episodes. If Women Ruled the World, I doubt they would have produced this show. When Women Rule the World was a reality series where 12 women were given their own society to run, with 12 men as their obedient manservants. Fox's head of reality TV at the time, Mike Darnell, boiled down the premise to women who felt they'd hit the glass ceiling in a male-dominated world, now calling the shots with these macho and chauvinistic men serving their every command. Each week, the women would boot one of the men off the island, with the last man standing winning $250,000. The women, however, had no cash prize up for grabs. The women selected for the show all share a sense that despite how far women have come in society, men still have an unfair advantage and perhaps need to be taught a lesson. And that lesson must be that one of the guys is now $250,000 richer and the women get nothing. Take that, patriarchy. Darnell teased payback can be a bitch. Fox saw this program as
really
the next
funny.
step in the evolution of reality television. But that next step would never be taken. Scheduled for a 2008 release, the season came and went without a premiere. One of the contestants hinted at some behind-the-scenes drama between the production company and the network. 2 years later, Fox finally addressed its absence, saying it will never air because, quote, sometimes things sit on the shelf too long and get old. Sorry, ladies, you heard the man. He said it's too late for a women-led society. Or is it? UK's Channel 4 liked the concept and created their own When Women Rule the World, which actually aired all 8 of its episodes. Just going off the UK adaptation here, if this was supposed to highlight the struggles of women, it missed the chance to say anything serious. All of it comes off so childish, it just sounds like older siblings bossing their younger brothers around in the backyard. Our little genius put kid geniuses to the test
I feel like that
in hopes of winning their family
treads into just
money.
porn
Hosted by
territory
Kevin Pollak,
quickly.
The show had kids ages 6 to 12 facing incredibly tough, multi-layered questions only experts could answer. If they got all 10 questions correct, they'd walk away with $500,000. Parents also played a crucial role in the game, deciding how far to push their little genius with each high-stakes question. Hot off the success of Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, reality TV producer Mark Burnett was ready for another hit kid-based game show. And the show had quite the flair for the theatrics, like introducing the kid genius by slowly lowering them from a giant cylindrical chamber. But one thing the producers overlooked was that child prodigies love following rules. Just days before the scheduled premiere, Our Little Genius was shelved indefinitely. And it wasn't Fox making the call, but the creator of the show himself. Because Burnett had gotten word that some of the contestants may have been given some of the answers beforehand, a big no-no for game shows, and tattletailed on Our Little Genius. In the 1950s, there was a huge scandal having to do with quiz show producers fixing the outcome to their competitions, forcing Congress to amend a federal law, making it illegal for TV networks to deceive the public in quiz shows. Weeks before Our Little Genius's premiere date, the FCC received a letter from the parent of a child being recruited for the show, stating that a production member gave them answers to at least 4 questions. They told him that he has to know in music notation that the name for the 64th note is the hemi-demi semiquaver. I mean, who doesn't know about the old hemi-demi semi? When the parents ran that by the show's legal team, asking if that was even allowed, production took away the kid's spot on the show. It was also reported that if one of the kids on the show answered one of the first 4 questions wrong, they'd allow them to restart the game all over again with a new set of questions. With credible accusations floating around, Burnett seemed warranted in asking Fox to cancel the show. Not just to protect reputation, but probably to dodge legal issues too. Fox obliged. Since the anti-cheating law for quiz shows has more to do with deceiving the public and Our Little Genius never actually aired, the FCC never went through with the investigation. This is likely a big reason why the only pieces of the show that have been seen are a couple of short promo clips. Marvel Productions produced an animated series called The Young Astronauts, set to launch in 1986, following a 21st century family exploring the cosmos aboard the starship Courageous. The show was designed for entertainment and educational purposes.
Come on, you can do it. I believe in you. There you go.
To get kids excited about space exploration, with each episode explaining real science concepts. A non-profit council and for-profit company worked together to fund the initiative, timing the release of the Young Astronauts with the upcoming and highly anticipated NASA shuttle launches. Marvel even had plans for a companion comic series, and to build excitement, ads featuring the young astronauts hanging out with Captain America appeared in comic books. Some of you may have already connected the dots as to why it was canceled before one episode. The entire initiative was halted after the tragic Space Shuttle Challenger disaster in January 1986, with the nation grieving the lives lost to the failed shuttle launch and the overall mood shift surrounding space travel. Both the show and comic were canceled before ever being released to the public. Between Marvel Productions and Toei Animation, $1.2 million had already been invested into the project by then, so when it was scrapped, Marvel filed a lawsuit against the Young Astronaut Council to recover their losses, ultimately winning back close to $200,000 by 1990. To this day, the Young Astronauts remains unreleased, leaving behind only a single animation cell, a few press articles, and most recently, a full episode's dialogue found on a reel sold on eBay.
Some people can't take a joke.
In 1964, CBS's Bill and Martha was set to star 2 big Hollywood names, William Bendix and Martha Ray. The duo would play a butler and maid who inherit a mansion and try to run it as a rental property. Before its premiere, in an annual meeting with affiliates, CBS's president talked extensively about tinkering with success in order to stay in front of the competition with other networks, and specifically mentioned that plans for the Bill and Martha comedy series were abandoned for contractual reasons and didn't go into further detail. Only later would it be revealed that the reason for Bill and Martha's abrupt cancellation was the network's serious concern with William Bendix's declining health. His agent denied these health concerns, insisting that despite surgeries for ulcers and an appendectomy nearly a decade earlier, he was now in perfect health. Bendix sued CBS for $2.6 million, saying the unjustified cancellation and accusation of poor health hurt his career. The case was settled out of court for $25,000. A few months later, Bendix passed away from complications related to stomach cancer and pneumonia. Why would anyone
That
want
sucks.
to live in a neighborhood full of bigots, racists, and homophobes? Ask the contestants of the highly controversial unaired reality show Welcome to the Neighborhood that had 7 families of various ethnicities, races, and religions competing for a house in a suburban community. To win the house, the families were pitted against each other in challenges and judged by 3 conservative white families that lived in the neighborhood. One judge openly claiming that he would not tolerate a homosexual. As news about the show spread, it was slammed from all sides. 1, for its normalization of intolerance, 2, because of its violation of the Fair Housing Act, and 3, because of fear from conservatives that they would come off looking biased. The producers said the goal was to see if a diverse family could be accepted into a white, conservative, upper-class Christian neighborhood. But why? Why is the approval of conservative white families necessary? ABC dropped the series before it aired due to the sensitivity of the subject matter. The judges did eventually award the house to the gay couple, which led one of the neighbors to put his house up for sale, directly citing the show and the gay couple moving in as the reasons why. Shocking.
Delete.
No controversies, no unexpected deaths. This show was canceled before its premiere for being just painfully unfunny. Based on the British sitcom The Gremlys, the Grubs are an underachieving blue-collar family from the fictional town of Hackville, Pennsylvania, with a son who dreams of actually making something of himself. Leading the cast was the youngest Michael Cera you'll ever see in his TV debut. Fox originally ordered 13 episodes of The Grubs, then cut it down to 8 for financial reasons. It was all set to premiere on November 3rd, 2002, until the critic reviews came in. The Grubs was voted worst new fall series by a poll of TV critics in Daily Variety. Tim Goodman of the San Francisco Chronicle didn't stop there, saying it's probably the worst show of the season, maybe several seasons. The first episode is on YouTube, and yeah, it isn't anything special. The whole joke is that the family members are bumbling idiots, which gets old after about 2 minutes. Michael Cera's character has
Why is it not letting me do anything? Okay, hold on.
Coach is evil. You know the drill. But Michael Cera has a few moments of elevating the material higher than it deserves.
Mitchell, I didn't know you lived here. I just rented the house next door. Really? Next door? Wow. So glad that lady died.
And after the show was canceled, Cera's performance was still enough to get him an audition for Arrested Development. At only 14 years old, he probably thought The Grubs would be his big break, and when it wasn't, he had doubts about Arrested Development even making it to premiere night either. Although Arrested Development didn't do great in the ratings, it's now one of the most beloved comedy series of all time,
It didn't do
launching
great in the
Cera's
ratings?
career and helping that kid from Hackville make something of himself after all. In 1976, NBC almost made history with the show ahead of its time, only to cancel it right before it aired. At the time, David Brenner was a legend of The Tonight Show, appearing over 150 times on the late-night talk show alongside Johnny Carson. His popularity was rising, and NBC executives saw sitcom potential in him. They teamed up with Welcome Back Kotter producer James Comack to create Snip, a half-hour comedy inspired by the 1975 film Shampoo. The comedy was about a hairdresser who follows his ex-wife to Cape Cod and gets a job at her beauty parlor. One of the main characters would be Michael, the openly gay boss of the salon, played by Walter Wanderman. In a 1976 article, Lee Winfrey wrote that Walter Wanderman believes the American television audience finally is ready to accept a homosexual character as a regular on a comedy series, so he will play such a character this fall. Comack received pushback from NBC about the Michael character, so they hired an advisor to make sure the Michael character doesn't behave in any ways that would offend anyone. And producers were so confident in the role that they were already talking to Wanderman about making a potential Michael spin-off down the road. As Snip prepared for its September 1976 premiere, NBC heavily promoted the show, and Brenner appeared on talk shows to generate buzz. 5 episodes were ready to roll, with 2 more already filmed when the last
I'm worried. It's just going.
Lead actress Leslie
it's just
Ann
going and
told
going.
the LA Times, one day mid-rehearsal, someone came in and said, "Get your bags and get out." Despite having invested $150,000 per episode, NBC snipped Snip from their lineup before it ever aired. Brenner said NBC made up all kinds of excuses, but he believed the real reason they canceled the show was because they were afraid to have a gay on television. Although Snip never aired in the US, the 5 completed episodes were broadcast in Australia. Today, the only way to see the finished episodes is by visiting the Cowley Center for Media in New York City. After botching the end of Game of Thrones, leaving the franchise in ruins, and pissing off basically the whole world, what was the next move for creators David Benioff and D.B. Weiss to regain the approval of TV viewers? Developing a show about an America where slavery never ended. That was the premise behind Confederate, an alternate history drama
they were gonna do what?
set in a timeline where the Confederates won the Civil War, leaving slavery intact in the South. When the show was announced, It didn't go over well. An online campaign kicked off during
that's
season
not a good
7 of Game of
idea.
Thrones with the
That's a
hashtag
terrible idea.
#NoConfederate trending #1 in the US on Twitter. Benioff and Wise tried to defend the concept, explaining their goal was to explore modern racial issues through
Girl,
a
you
dystopian
can't
lens.
explore
With
modern
Israel
racial
and American
issues.
slavery, the nation's
You're not
original
equipped.
sin that still lingers today. But as Ta-Nehisi Coates
Not
of The
equipped, I
Atlantic
fear.
pointed out, African Americans do not need science fiction, or really any fiction, to tell them that this history is still with us. And in a
Oh
time
my God,
when white
Sims, come
nationalists
on.
were marching through Charlottesville with torches and Confederate battle flags, writer Roxane Gay, who saw the concept as slavery fan fiction, questioned who this show was even for. HBO
Yeah, who is
responded
the
to
show
backlash,
for?
asking viewers to reserve judgment until there is something to see. Unfortunately, guys, you were already way in the doghouse after Game of Thrones, and people weren't eager to give you the benefit of the doubt. But it wasn't really the controversy that canceled Confederate. In August 2019, David Benioff and D.B. Wise signed a new deal worth $200 million to develop new shows and films for Netflix, effectively ending their deal with HBO. And in January 2020, HBO officially confirmed Confederate was history.
Okay, I have to just close the game and
There's a
hope for the
reason
best.
you've probably never heard of the man who was supposed to be the first ever late night host. High-flying pianist Don Creesh Hornsby was making a name for himself with his bizarre 5-hour-long nightclub shows that involved dry ice, trapeze work, and a live donkey.
What?
Hornsby's signature move was playing the piano while suspended.
I saved
upside down
like
from the
right
ceiling.
before I
At just
exited.
26 years old, the Spokane Daily Chronicle wrote, "Gosh only knows what he'll think up when he's been around longer." Hornsby was quickly discovered by Bob Hope, who put him on his radio show, giving the rising comic even more attention. Meanwhile, NBC was looking to produce America's first late-night variety show, originally titled The Anchor Hawking Show. Hornsby tried out for the hosting gig, and things were really looking up. NBC signed him to a 5-year
Oh my God, it literally
deal
will
and
not
had every
quit.
intention
I have to
give
force
him the
quit
show.
it.
Until on the day of his final audition, Don had to be rushed to the hospital and was placed in an iron lung for a rapid onset of polio. He would end up passing away on the same day he was planned to host his first episode. After Hornsby's sudden passing, NBC scrambled to find replacements. With the show named now Broadway Open House, celebrities like Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis took turns hosting until the network landed on Jerry Lester as the show's permanent host. 15 months later, the structure of Broadway Open House would lead the way
Close
for
the
Tonight Show
game.
to premiere in 1954.
Oh my
and
God,
has still been
close.
running
It literally
to this
won't
day.
close.
We should just be holding our late night
stuck.
talk show hosts to the same standard as Don Hornsby. I need Jimmy Fallon to get some trapeze work into his opening monologues.
That's a great
One
question.
writer called
I
this
don't
the
know.
worst idea for a TV show ever. Let's see if we all agree. In 2021, CBS planned to air The Activist, a reality competition hosted by Usher, Priyana Chopra, and Julianne Hough, with 6 activists competing to bring meaningful change to health, educational, and environmental
That's
causes. This
very
is where things got
dystopian.
controversial.
Are you
The contestants
okay?
would compete with each other, but not to see
Did
who
you
can
think
bring
this
the
through?
most positive change to the world. The metric of success for this show was social media engagement. Eye roll emoji, am I right? We're in a time when performative activism is suspected with every company's social
Oh, he was trying to say
media.
Spokane?
So, this cosplaying
What the heck?
of well-meaning activism by the network was never
I didn't
really
even
gonna
register,
fly.
that's what
And
he was
it's completely
saying.
discrediting the honest work of those contestants. An activist is not a social media manager. There's hardly any relation between the two. So to have all of this hinge on retweets is so irrelevant to the lives.
Yeah,
these activists
Washington
are
is
trying
one
to
of the
help. It's like
places
they
with
tried
most
to
of the-
create a show equivalent
a lot
to
of
those
the
Facebook
locations
posts
here
that
are
say
named
one
after,
like
like,
equals one prayer. Even worse
Indian
was this show's
reservation
treatment
names.
of the activists they're claiming to support. Climate activist Clover Hogan was approached to be on the show, but she found the audition process so
I don't understand how
humiliating that she
people
declined the
can't
offer.
pronounce
She shared
swim
that
or
while discussing
Yakima.
her life's work, the interviewer got irritated, calling her job too complicated.
it's literally
for
just
American viewers.
squim.
But when she broke down in tears, that emotional vulnerability seemed to be exactly what the producers craved. Eventually, even the celebrity hosts publicly distanced themselves from the show. By then, CBS was facing backlash from all directions and announced that The Activist would be repurposed before airing, cutting out the competitive element, focusing instead
People
on
always
celebrating the
mispronounce
activists'
Yakima,
efforts
which
and
is
rewarding
crazy to
each
me.
a cash grant for their cause. But after all
Dude,
that,
people who
it's
pronounce
unknown if the
Washington like
primetime special
Washington?
ever even aired. We did it, everybody.
Are you okay?
We saved the world.
Yeah, I'm just gonna...
The first reality show in Washington, D.C.
It
was
literally
also
won't
the
shut,
first
so I'm
reality
just gonna
show in Washington, D.C.
swap
canceled
screens.
before
Hi.
Meet the Blonde Charity Mafia. This half-hour docuseries follows a group of influential 20-somethings in Washington, D.C. From charity
Appalachia?
events to society parties, these women host the hottest tickets in town. The show was made for the Lifetime Network, who then sold it to the CW, who then held on to it for a year before scrapping it for other shows they felt more confident in. It made it to air overseas, but was only available to watch in the States through illegal streams. I couldn't find much other than some promo clips, which include this voiceover about the queen of the group, Catherine.
What?
For Catherine, the giving is personal. Since childhood, she has been fighting a rare disease that could be fatal.
The could in here is doing a Herculean amount of heavy lifting.
Could
The
be
disease is
fatal.
multiple endocrine neoplasia, and she said on Twitter, not sure who did the voiceover for #BlondeCharityMafia, but no, I'm not dying of a fatal disease. That's how desperate the show was for any drama at all, and that's not the only part of the show that's suspect.
That's
One of the
so
three
weird.
leads of the Blonde Charity Mafia is Sophie. Don't know if I have to point this out for my viewers here, but she is not blonde.
Sequim?
She was horrified when she heard
It's- yeah,
3
it's
weeks
just
into filming
Squim.
that the show is going to be called
It's
Blonde
just
Charity
Squim.
Mafia, since she's actually brunette. In one of the loudest, most unhinged interviews I have ever seen.
What are some
Sophie
other
is asked,
ones in
"Is the show
Washington
real?
that people
It has to be scripted,
mispronounce?"
right?" Followed by the interviewer saying Sophie is a slut.
I'm sorry, you're a bit of a slut.
If the show is anything like this interview, I need it. Give it to me now.
Yeah, I hate it.
making of
I
this
hate
TV show was
like
so
why
wild,
if there's no
stopped
R in
traffic.
warsh
Country
in
Style was
like
set to bring
warsh.
country music to Australian
You
TV
wash
in
your
the 1960s.
clothes.
Australian country stars the Lagarde twins were on. to
There's
produce
no
the show
R in that.
performances from country music stars
Pisses me
including
off,
Marty Robbins.
actually.
Robbins infamously declined most TV spots, but after a chance meeting with him at a bar, the Lagarde twins lured him to visit
Paulsbo's
Sydney
another
and
one that
perform on
people
their
cannot
show
pronounce.
with the promise of great weather and beautiful women.
What
Country Style
else?
was going to make history as Australia's first
Snoqualmie,
TV show filmed
probably.
in color. Filming in color was so expensive, they could only afford to do it for the first episode, which has since gone missing. Despite its ambition, Country Style ran into some drama. During rehearsals one day, an argument about some wrong notes had band members storming out of the studio. The shouting match spilling into the streets of Sydney, causing such a commotion that traffic came to a standstill. A group of angry, shouting musicians clutching their instruments, exchanging insults with 2 red-faced men in cowboy suits. When the light turned green, not a single vehicle moved, no one tooted. No one tooted? Things really fell apart when the host,
Yakima
Digby Wolf,
people
began
can't
making
pronounce for
demands
some
more
reason.
money and luxuries, leading to the
Can
cancellation
people
of the
pronounce
show
Tacoma
before air. In this
correctly?
2010 interview with the Lagarde brothers, they share an oral history of Country Style as they keep cutting each
Snoqualmie?
other off and getting
Puyallup,
frustrated
yeah,
over
people
the
can't say
other's
Puyallup.
long-winded stories, and it's hilarious.
Australian.
Your friend lives in
Well,
Paulsbo?
eventually, the
Paulsbo's
Prime Minister
adorable. I
of
like
Australia or
Paulsbo.
anybody of notoriety. But anyway, to cut through the chase, Tim, one of the greatest Australians ever lived. But let me finish. Let me finish. The same, and we sing requests from the people. Now, let me take over.
True.
An episode of Country Style
That's
finally
true.
aired on Australia's country music channel 48 years later in 2011. When they heard the news, the Lagarde twins said how beautiful it is to be alive and never cease to dream. And just to connect some dots here, Country Style host Digby Wolf co-created the way ahead of its time sketch comedy show Turn On, which we spoke about in a past
Wenatchee,
Iceberg,
maybe?
because the show was infamously canceled halfway through its first episode. HGTV loves their twin hosts, and in 2014, they were ready to introduce
Bremerton?
their newest twins, David and Jason Benham, with their
Issaquah?
new greenlit show, Flip It Forward. The show concept is classic HGTV. The Benham brothers would use their
People
civil
definitely fuck up
rivalry to help
Snohomish.
families turn fixer-uppers into their dream homes. After it was announced, though, Right Wing Watch had a few questions for HGTV. Like, when you gave these guys a show, did you know they were a part of the extreme far-right Benham family? Their dad, Flip Benham, no
Tequila,
relation to Flip
maybe?
It Forward, was the leader of an anti-choice group, Operation Save America,
Sammamish.
known for harassing women
Burien,
at clinics,
maybe?
screaming that Jesus hates Muslims,
Enum
and
Claw.
blaming
People
9/11
definitely
on
cannot
abortion
pronounce
rights.
Enum Claw.
Flip passed the torch of hate down to his offspring, who have compared gay marriage to Nazi Germany, have said Muslims are the enemy attacking America, and complaining that homosexuality is attacking the nation while the church sits silent and just builds big churches. The irony of a real estate guy complaining about building things. Once all this came to light, HGTV quickly tweeted a simple, "We're not going forward with this show."
Two-way
The
look,
network
yeah.
still funded the completion of the 6 homes from the show, so the brothers could finish the project off camera. But of course, the conservative media was not happy about this. Pat
Colville?
Robertson, notoriously wrong about every doomsday prediction he has uttered, said, "Good grief, isn't there supposed to be some freedom?
Did I say that right?
Aren't we supposed to have a First
Colville?
Amendment?" I'm happy to clarify that Robertson was actually right about this one. We do have a First Amendment, but it does not prevent Home and Garden Television from canceling TV shows.
We are listening to a canceled TV show's Iceberg.
The Benham brothers fired back, claiming anyone who suggests that we hate homosexuals or people of faith is either misinformed or lying. Yeah, everyone, they're not saying they hate Muslims, they're saying Jesus hates Muslims. Now the twins have gone from flipping houses to still flipping out about gay marriage, forcing God to send us hurricanes. Benham brothers, if you're watching this, I gotta know, what sort of home insurance policy is available for gay hurricanes? Mail
Oh my
Order
God,
Family was
not
a
the gay
planned sitcom
hurricanes.
about a widowed father who orders a mail order bride from the Philippines to help raise his children.
That was who the fuck?
The show's creator, Jackie Clark, known for her work on Superstore,
Girl.
lost her mother in first grade and was raised by a 25-year-old Filipina
Okay.
who her father literally ordered off of a catalog and who had no desire to be a mother. Greenlit by NBC in 2016, the network said they aimed
So I
to
see
tell
why
a
you might
heartfelt,
think that's a
sensitive story
positive
about
thing,
Jackie's life
but like,
experience.
girl,
But when Jackie first shared her
are
story
you
a few years
okay?
earlier on
What
an
the
episode
fuck?
of This American Life, nothing I heard was hurtful.
Colville?
Just sad. The father and the young Filipina woman did not get along. She seemed incredibly unhappy and isolated, and her dad ended up abandoning the family to move to the Philippines for another secret family he had over there. And Jackie's relationship with her Filipina stepmom ended with a years-long lawsuit for $200,000. So, if the show was going to be based on true events, I'll just share what I believe to be obvious, which is that Mail Order Family is not sitcom material. Retelling this story as a lighthearted comedy was such a strange choice, especially since the issue of Mail Order Brides is rooted in human trafficking, abuse, and exploitation. When
Like,
NBC
that's
announced
not
the show,
funny?
it sent shockwaves through the American Filipino community. A Change.org
No, like,
petition hit over
how did she
11,000
not-
signatures in less than 2 days, with protests
Huh?
outside NBC's headquarters organized.
How is she
in
that
Facebook.
out of touch
The
when she
network
saw it
responded to the backlash,
firsthand?
saying that they plan to tell the story
That
with
is
care,
crazy.
but given the controversy, they would drop the project. So, Mail Order Comedy was canceled just 2 days after it was announced. This show wanted to expose hate, but ended up bankrolling it. In December 2016,
God.
A&E announced Generation KKK, a docuseries profiling Ku Klux Klan leaders and some of their members looking to leave the hate group with the help of anti-hate extractors.
Speaking of, what horror
I've
movie
never
or
heard
what
that job title
movie should we
before, and
watch
when I Googled it, the only
during the
results
next
were
stream?
related to this
It
exact
still won't
show.
close,
As
by the
expected,
way.
Reactions were all over the place. Some argued in favor of airing the show, saying that we can't sweep extremists under the rug and need to expose these dangerous views in order to squash them. Others argued in favor of canceling the show, with concerns that it would only amplify racist voices
A task
and normalize
manager
white
ended
supremacy.
it.
Addressing the backlash, A&E shared their intent is for the show to be a way to stand against hate, and we're willing to make a few changes to reassure the doubters. They dropped the show name of Generation KKK for the much more spelled out Escaping the KKK, a documentary series exposing hate in America. In small font, it says,
We swear.
They then partnered with civil rights group Color of Change to add segments featuring civil rights leaders to help provide context to the documentary
yeah, no,
with a
that might be
post-show town
important.
hall to discuss how to end hate in America. Color of Change agreed to do all of this on the one condition that none of the KKK members in the docuseries were paid for their involvement. A&E promised them no payments were made.
They lied.
After further review,
They lied.
learned that the third-party producers in charge of the series did actually make cash payments to some KKK participants. That awkward moment when you wanted to stand against hate but accidentally helped fund it. In an investigation by Variety, participants were paid up to $600 a day, and sources said that the production team provided pre-scripted fictional story scenarios like a cross-burning ceremony, even supplying the KKK with materials for burning wood crosses and swastikas. Some participants even claim that the producers would tell them during interviews to use the N-word. Then again, this is a hate group who Variety even mentions is not reliable truth tellers, but the cash payments part was confirmed by A&E themselves.
Bro.
Color of Change obviously withdrew their support for the show after this news broke, and just one day after renaming the series,
The fish
A&E
does look
couldn't
like
escape this
chainmail.
PR
It's because they
nightmare
have glitter
and
on
canceled
them.
Escaping the KKK entirely. Good Grief was a reality show for Lifetime following the owners of a funeral home in Fort Worth, Texas. The charismatic duo of Dondre and Derek, better known as the Undertaker twins, along with Dondre's wife Rachel, ran the Johnson family mortuary, and Lifetime pitched it as a heartwarming, family-centered show, bringing life to the business of death. The show was scheduled to premiere
Cannot wait to
in
take it
August
off.
2014.
I have to take it off really carefully so that I don't get anything ruined, because I still need to film the video edit tomorrow.
And the Johnsons were in the
Or
process
Sunday,
of
whatever day I end up filming it, I don't know.
So the building
Okay.
owner called the police. When detectives arrived,
I'm gonna
they
try
could
and do it
smell the
tomorrow.
odor
We'll
of
see how I
decaying
wake up
flesh from the
feeling.
parking lot. When they entered, they found what looked like 2 mummified bodies, one infested with insects in a casket, another wrapped in a sheet on a coffee table. The remains of 2 infants were found to be there for over a year. One was liquefied in a plastic bin on the floor. The investigator said he had never seen the state in which they were found. Some of the bodies had been decomposing in the funeral home for over a year. Later that day, Dondre Johnson addressed the media in front of his funeral home, brushing off the scandal by saying, "In a few days from now, we'll be on a reality show, so I want all this media." But Lifetime was not amused. They quickly pulled the plug on Good Grief, their VP releasing a statement confirming the show has not and will not air, calling the allegations against the Johnsons deeply troubling. Then reports surfaced that families who used the mortuary received ashes that did not belong to their deceased loved ones. Dondre pled guilty to 9 counts of abuse of a corpse and was sentenced to 2 years in jail and fined $20,000.
Only 2 years?
Pinned the blame on his wife Rachel, saying she was in charge of the funeral home. Rachel was convicted on similar charges as well as for unrelated food stamp fraud. In a 2016 interview, Dondre mostly blamed his staff.
2 years? Really?
He had hired. By 2018, he was back on Instagram, casually posting pictures of himself looking, quote, casket sharp. Apple TV is a hit now, but it wasn't without a rocky start. Before the streaming service officially launched, Apple was looking to create a library of family.
How do you follow that one up?
Content. They struck gold with season 1 of Ted Lasso, which perfectly fit the bill. One show that did not, as you could probably guess by the name, was Bastards. You tell me how family-friendly this sounds. Bastards follows 2 elderly Vietnam veterans and best friends who find their monotonous lives upended when a woman they both loved 50 years ago is killed in a car accident. Their lifelong regrets and secrets collide with their resentment of today's self-absorbed millennials, and the duo then go on a shooting spree. Oh yeah, kids, gather around the television for a cozy night of watching how much boomers irrationally hate you. Back in 2015, HBO was initially developing this adaptation of the Israeli series Nevelot, with Adam Sandler's Happy Madison Productions set to make its dramatic debut. That fell through, and a few years later, Apple picked up the project
weirdest
after a
combination.
bidding war. With Richard Gere set to star, Homeland's Howard Gordon and Law & Order SVU's Warren Light collaborated on 2 scripts for Bastards, which is when Apple finally became concerned with the tone of the show. Apple, on one hand, envisioned Bastards to be focused on friendship. Gordon envisioned the show to be dark and focused on 2 angry old men getting revenge on all of those dang kids on their cell phones causing a ruckus. So Bastards was canceled before any
Someone put that guy on a watch
aired,
list.
Instead, we got 2 more seasons of Ted Lasso, which completely bastardized the original season and became unwatchable. Don't even at me about this, dude. Season 2 and 3 were so bad, and there is no way around this fact. Hit me with the next show. I'm ready to move on. In 2019, Channel 4 created The Surgery, with people asking a jury for the cosmetic surgery of their dreams. The candidates would at times even be asked to take their clothes off to plead their case to the panel of judges. One executive producer described the show as a totally new way of doing peer-to-peer advice, saying that contestants would either get the surgery they wanted or gain confidence from the public ruling that they didn't need any work at all. Yeah, that's how body dysphoria works. The show's goal seemed to be to reduce the stigma around the conversation of plastic surgery, but this conversation quickly spun out of control before the show made it to television. If any of this sounds familiar, in another Iceberg video,
it's like
we discussed the Swan
No.
from 15 years prior, with self-proclaimed ugly ducklings undergoing extreme physical makeovers, way more extreme than the women were asking for, to the point where one contestant cried to producers that she wanted her face back. When the surgery was announced, many online were appalled and frustrated, because we've been here before. We've seen the effects of these kinds of shows on its contestants and its young, impressionable viewers. One doctor went on Twitter to say he was originally cast on the show, but declined the offer once he understood the full premise. The British Association of Aesthetic Plastic Surgeons also condemned the show, calling the format reckless and saying that trivializing this decision for shock value entertainment sends a dangerous and misleading message. The surgery's host, Caroline Flack, had been the face of the hugely popular Love Island for years, a show that has had its own fair share of body image controversy. Flack defended the show on Twitter, praising the participants for their strength and reiterating that life was about individual choice. But the situation went from bad to worse when Flack was arrested for assaulting her boyfriend. Soon after being charged discharged, Flax stepped down from hosting Love Island, and not long after that, Channel 4 said they had no plans to air the surgery. A month and a half later, in February 2020, Flax took her own life, making her the third person associated with Love Island to die by suicide, with mental health struggles, negative media coverage being direct contributing factors. Ev and Ocho was going to be a VH1 reality show starring NFL wide receiver Chad Ochocinco Johnson and his then wife, Evelyn Lozada. Ev starred in 4 seasons of Basketball Wives, and Chad Johnson was a 6-time Pro Bowl receiver, so this power couple seemed like a perfect fit for a reality show to follow them going through the stresses of coordinating their dream wedding. This was also going to be Chad's first season playing for the Miami Dolphins, fins up baby, and with HBO's Hard Knocks following the team that year, a lot of eyes were on his personal and professional life. Things took a turn 3 weeks before Ev and Ocho's premiere, and 41 days after their wedding, when Evelyn and Chad were out to dinner in Miami, Ev confronted him about a receipt she found for condoms. The argument escalated when they got home, and Chad reportedly headbutted his wife. She was treated at the hospital for a gash on her forehead that required 8 stitches, and Chad was arrested on a domestic violence charge. The next day, Dolphins head coach Joe Philbin informed Chad that he was being released from the team, an uncomfortable meeting that aired on the next episode of Hard Knocks. The day after that, VH1 announced that due to unfortunate events over the weekend and the seriousness of the allegations, they had no plans to air Ev and Ocho. And the day after that, Evelyn filed for divorce. Johnson received a year of probation, and a warrant for his arrest was issued the following summer after failing to meet with his probation officer for 3 consecutive months. He avoided jail time after a plea deal until the judge rejected that deal for disrespecting the court after Johnson slapped his attorney on the butt. He served a week of his 30-day sentence. And the Dolphins have not won a playoff game in 23 seasons. There's a few shows I didn't get to in time to add in this video, but I'm still going to cover them on TikTok, so if you want to follow along there, I'll add my link in the description.
No.
And if you want to...
Oh, God, bro. Fucking hell. No one can touch their tongue to their chin while looking up. What would the difference be? Well, like, most people can't just can't touch their tongue to their chin, period. So looking up has nothing to do with it. It's not gonna work. Bro, what the heck? Okay, chat. Question. Do we break for a little bit here and then I hop on over to Fansly at 6:30? Oh my god. Do we do that? Since like Sims is being very dumb. I think we do that. That way I can take some fucking layers off. Yeah, I'm gonna take the wig off and give my head a break. And then... Yes. No! I'm sorry. It is gonna be not safe for work on Fansly. My goal is to take the outfit off. So... we'll be naked. The goal is to get naked and do a show over on Fansly tonight, so if the goals get finished, that'll happen. Also, I have the Diva video I can finally send out to everybody, so that will be happening. I'm also going to be sending it to people who tipped on the post. I'll send that tomorrow. I need to just re-look over that. See if I've missed anyone, but yeah, should be good over there. I don't know what kind of show we're doing. We haven't decided, but yeah, it'll be something. And I'll take this outfit off. I'll show you the outfit one more time before I leave, because why not? It's like stuck to me. The outfit. I'm so cold. Okay. There. Hi. There. Yush. Good night. Good night. Good night. All right. Well, I will see you guys over on Fansly at 6:30. So 40 minutes. Go get yourselves some dinner. I'm gonna give myself a wig break, and then I will meet you over there, and we will, I don't know what we're gonna watch. We'll figure out what we're gonna watch. So, yes, I will see you soon, okay? Mwah. Alright, see you in a bit. Next week will probably be longer stream, I think. Yes, next week will be a longer stream on here. I'll start at 2 next week. Hopefully I won't have a fuck ton of shit to do beforehand. Alright, enjoy the outro. Meet me over on Fansly in half an hour. Okay? Bye. I'll probably put the music up a little beforehand so you can chill there. Okay? Okay, bye.